They seek her here, they seek her there, they seek her flaming everywhere.
Can I help you, madam?
Don't tell me you've given to the rag bowman for 2 rubbing stones.
What?
I don't know. Looked everywhere for her. I don't know where she is. I can't find her at all.
Oh, Hilda. I don't think she's been in yet.
Thought she was supposed to make tea around here.
Oh, shall I put the kettle on?
No, I seem to have more time on my hands than you do. Hey, kid, do you get the feeling that business is dropping off?
Yes. Perhaps it's something missaid.
Oh, Sandra, for heaven's sake, cheer up. Women come to hairdressing saloons to be pampered, not to be frightened to death.
Is everything all right, love?
Of course.
Is Ray all right?
Why shouldn't he be?
Oh, there you are. Wondering where you got to.
Oh, I forgot to put it in the pudding basin. The clock, like, you know.
Oh.
Oh, it can seem awful big, can that double bed? Especially when you're used to having company in it.
Oh, I see. Stand still on nights.
Me and my Stan, not one flesh. First time since we was last separated. It's the little things you miss most, you know.
Oh?
Like waking up in the middle of the night and finding he's got all the bedclothes.
Does he know you can't sleep without him?
Oh, I couldn't tell him. Not when he's been so self-effacing about it. He's never been very strong, hasn't my Stan, you know. And what I'm wondering is, how much longer can he stand it himself?
Excuse me, Mrs. That's it.
Oh, the heck, you're full of the joys of spring this morning, aren't you, Stan Ogden? Here's the first cuckoo, have you?
Jack, you're looking at somebody who's cracked it with a capital K.
Oh. Hey, don't tell me you've got yourself finally sacked from that night shift job that your Hilda got you.
Oh, night shift's not so bad if you know what you're doing.
Oh,
Of course, there's night shift and night shift, aren't
oh.
there? What would you say if I was to tell you I got a night shift job where I can kit most of the night, plus a few drinks in the club round the corner, plus all the sympathy from Howley because she knows nought about it?
I'd say you've been drinking, except it's a bit too early.
Ah.
Or that you had finally cracked it.
Ah.
Hey, just a minute. Where the heck do you think you're going?
Why, it's opening time, isn't it?
Oh, another 10 minutes yet. Huh? This is not a blooming nightclub.
Ah. Hey, you got the right time. 25 past. Flipping traitor.
Oh, Mr. Howard.
Hello, Mrs. Walker.
You know, I felt sure that the right moment would present itself eventually.
The right moment?
Well, in case there were any misapprehensions between us.
I think you have the advantage of me, Mrs.
Oh, come now, Mr. Howard. It can't have escaped your notice that one of the leading members of our little community has so far been conspicuous by her absence from your salon.
Well, now that you come to mention it.
Well, now, I wouldn't like you to think for one moment that the reason that I haven't so far patronized your establishment was because of its location.
Well...
No, the fact that you operate in a humble environment never entered my mind.
Well, that's very nice of you to say so.
It's just that before entrusting my coiffure to a new salon, I do like it to settle.
Yes, I understand.
Well, that period of time has now elapsed, so I think you'll be glad to hear that I shall be making an appointment in the very near future.
Well, that's most encouraging. I must have a word with my girls and make sure that they're on their best behavior on that day. You don't anticipate any difficulties then, Mr. Pickett?
Difficulties?
Oh, getting planning permission for all this?
Oh, I shouldn't think so.
Good.
I mean, the men and women just the same as we are, aren't they, corporation committees?
Quite.
I mean, they must realise what this development must mean to you, just as me and Miss Nugent here do.
Of course.
Of course, it doesn't do to bank on anything too much these days, does it?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, things might seem set fair for you, and then it's the last person in the world you'd think has let you down. Oh, isn't that so, Miss Nugent?
Yes, well, I'll better be going off to the bank then. Emily?
Well, Emily?
Tell me, Mr. Pickett, how do you feel when you look yourself in the eye in the mirror every morning?
Well, it depends how much ale I've had the night before. Well, are you going to get that estimate for me from Fairclough, or aren't you?
I don't really appear to have much choice, do I?
That's free world.
Not as long as there are entrepreneurs like you around, Mr. Piggott.
Aye, well, let's drop the grammar school French, shall we? Look, are you or aren't you? That's all I want to know.
As I've said already, you don't really leave me any choice.
Good.
Although how I'm going to achieve it is completely beyond me just at the moment.
Oh, you'll find a way. Love always does, doesn't it? Love. Oh, well, I'll say ta-ra then. Or should it be au revoir?
When are they due to go, then?
Pardon?
The Houses of Parliament. Or is it Buckingham Palace you and him are thinking of blowing up this time?
I'm sure that remark must have deep personal significance, Mrs. Sharples, but it does seem to escape me just at the moment.
Sandra wants to help you. Why won't you let her?
I never said I wouldn't let her. I said I'd think about it.
What's there to think about? They are engaged, you
Oh,
know.
look, I've said I'll think about it. Now let's drop the subject, shall we?
But it's for your own good, Audrey.
Yeah. Oh, not now, love. Look, why don't you go for a drink or something? You don't know the ages yet.
Yeah. Why not? Funny, we were just talking about you, weren't we? Love.
If you're looking for Ray, he's down at the yard.
I wasn't.
Oh, well, what did you want then? Because as you can see, I'm really very busy.
I won't keep you. About what you said, about Ray only being with me because he's tied to a wheelchair.
Well?
You didn't really mean it, did you?
Didn't I?
What did you?
Oh, look, do you mind? Only I do have a dinner to get ready.
Look, I just want to know if you did or you didn't.
Oh, what
that's
does
all.
it matter?
It matters to me.
Only it's not only me as says it, is it? I mean, everybody round here knows.
You're a flaming liar.
What?
Liar.
Look, just get out
You
of
wouldn't
here
have
with
said
it.
that in front of him, would you?
I said get out.
Hey, what's with you and Ray, Mrs. Fleming?
Get out!
Settling down all right at school then, are they? The twins, like?
Funny you should mention that, Hilda.
Oh?
Yeah, they only stuck it a week.
Oh, did they walk out, the little monkeys?
No. The teachers did.
Oh. Oh, grow up before you know it, don't they?
So I'm told.
Funny, though. When you're a kid, all you want to do is be grown up. And then when you are grown up, you sometimes think you'd give anything to go back. Things always seem more straightforward when I were a kid.
Oh, come on, Hilda, cheer up. With a bit of luck, your Stanley will be back on the dole this time next week.
Oh, no. No, once he gets interested in something like the Rock of Gibraltar is my Stan. Any road, that's not really the answer.
Oh?
No, you see, it's a long story, but if he loses his job, I'll lose mine and all.
Oh, in that case, there's only one thing you can do about it, isn't there?
What's that?
Have to get a night shift job yourself, won't you? And both become creatures of the night. But don't blame me if people go around saying you're both being bitten by a vampire.
Oh, hey. Well, on that happy note, I think I'll leave you. Hello,
Hello, Hilda. What she want?
She just wanted the loan of a hammer.
Oh.
Yeah, I think she wanted to drive a wooden stake through their Stanley's heart.
What?
Well, it seems every time there's a full moon, he starts sprouting hairs all over his face and running around howling like a wolf, and she doesn't know what to do about it.
Did you tell her?
Yes, love, I did. I told her to buy him a new blade.
You're mad.
Ah, that's what they kept telling Dr. Frankenstein.
What she really want?
A bit of comfort, I think. Apparently her Stanley's got a night shift job that he likes, and she's got nobody to put her feet on.
She doesn't know how lucky she is, does she?
Well, I wouldn't know about that, though. I've never really slept with Stanley Ogden. There was a Stan Brownlow I slept with once. Along with 7 others after a university party, and I was blind drunk at the time.
Oh, that figures.
Those are the days, when I was young and free and actually used to go to parties.
You complaining?
No, I'm not exactly complaining, love. I'm just wondering why it is.
Why, what is?
Oh, it is that the more and more married you get, the less and less entertaining you seem to do.
It's my pipes.
Oh, is it?
I think they're all blocked up. It's the cold snap.
Have you thought of going to a doctor for a bottle for him?
Oh, I don't think that would do much good. I've tried poking up them with a stick, though. It's like a music hall, all this, isn't it? And then I've wrapped hot rags round that bit that sticks out from the wall. That's good, isn't it?
I reckon we're better than Morecambe and White on this one.
Yeah, I reckon we are.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing, though. I'm right up to here with work at the moment, love.
Oh, dear.
But for you, darling, I'll come round this afternoon, eh?
Oh, thanks very much.
All right.
Mr. Baker.
Yes, darling. Oh, don't tell me your pipes are frozen up and all.
I take it the deadline for the tender is still Monday morning?
Yeah.
In that case, here are the balances you asked me to supply.
Oh, thank you very much.
I think you'll find everything hunky-dory with them.
You what?
Hunky-dory. That is completely satisfactory.
Oh, yes, yes.
In that case, do you think we could press on with the final estimates as soon as possible? I do, as you know, have other responsibilities.
I shouldn't worry about the final estimates if I were you. Ray Langton and me'll work them out between us.
But I don't understand.
What's to understand? You've done all the spade work on this. Me and Ray will finish it off. And we'll get all the credit for it when we get the job. And as far as your other commitments are concerned, give him a kiss for me while you're at it.
Up a bit, love. A bit more. Oh!
Did you hurt yourself?
Well, if I did, it must have been in one of them places I still can't feel. And let's face it, there's not many of them left now.
What do you mean?
The most amazing sensations, darling. Right up to my kneecaps. It's just like having your own legs.
Oh.
Well, look, don't chuck money with delight, but try and look flaming pleased about it.
Sorry.
What's up with you? You've had a face like a flaming bass fiddle ever since I got here.
Sorry.
Don't keep saying you're sorry, just tell me what's up. Happen we can do something about it. Hey, remember me? I'm the bloke you proposed to. Well, now what have I said?
It's no use, Mr. Piggott. The situation's completely beyond redemption.
Rubbish.
But I tell you it is. Mr. Fairclough's already told me. They intend to work out the final figure themselves.
More than they're capable of.
Just what do I have to do to make you see, Mr. Piggott?
You're what we might call a bit of a scholar round here, aren't you, Miss Nugent?
I fail to see what academic achievement has to do with all this.
The lessons of history, Miss Nugent. I wasn't much cop at school myself, but there's one character I shall never forget about.
Al Capone?
Huh. Robert the Bruce, Miss Nugent. It seems things weren't going too well for him at one time. He was thinking of chucking his hand in.
Really?
And then one day, he sees this spider climbing up, slipping down, climbing up, slipping down.
I have heard the story, Mr. Piggott.
Then learn from it, Miss Nugent. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Are they going to work out that estimate themselves or what?
I've already told you that they are going to work out the estimate themselves.
And I'm telling you that they can't. They think they can, but they can't. Or at least it's your job to persuade them that they can't, if you want to save your Mr. Bishop's precious pipe dream. Oh, well, Ernie, we were just talking about you and yours, weren't we, Emily?
Nothing uncomplimentary, I hope.
Not really.
Going out again, are we?
If that's all right with you,
Yes, only, well, you do seem to have been in and out all day, Emily.
I'll try to make up for it tomorrow.
Oh, it's not that. I mean, feel free to come and go as you like, only... Well, there's nothing wrong, is there?
Wrong?
Yes, only, you know, when I first mooted this scheme, you seemed as full of it as I was, but now... Well, you will tell me if you've changed your mind, won't you?
Oh, why on earth should I change my mind?
No reason I can think of. Only, I had a proposition to put to you.
Oh?
Yes, a partnership. A purely business partnership, you know, but a partnership in the business. What do you say?
Well, it's really very generous of you, Ernest, but I couldn't possibly consider anything so momentous just at the moment.
What else did she say?
Not much. Only as everybody else in the street thought it as well. Do they?
I'm going back to the yard. Mr. Fairclough might be worrying in case somebody's run off with me.
Oh, and I didn't even have to tell you to get it cut, neither.
What do you reckon, then?
You know, you put me in mind of Ronald Coleman when you've had the crop.
Well, TTFN.
Oh, don't go yet, Chuck. It's like a blooming chapel arrest in here this afternoon. How about a nice cup of tea done just how you like it?
Oh, no. I better get my head down. I mean, I don't want to fall asleep on the job tonight, do I?
Hey, Stan.
What?
You don't think that, it's all a bit too much for your strength, you know, all this lack of sleep, like? Because if your health was being affected and you feel you'd be better off on the dole, well, I wouldn't stand in your way.
Oh, no. I couldn't do that, love. I mean, apart from the fact of letting you down, I'll be letting myself down, wouldn't I?
Oh, Stan.
Oh, hello, Hilda. Are you still here?
Yeah.
Oh, I should get off then. Everybody else is already gone.
Oh, right.
What's all this, an unofficial strike?
Oh, I hope you don't mind, but we didn't seem to be doing anything at all, so we decided to close early.
Oh?
Is it all right?
Well, yes, I suppose so, as long as you're prepared to return the compliment someday.
Oh, of course.
Mrs. Tanner gone too?
Yes, she went about half an hour ago to catch the shops.
Well, you run along. I'll knock up.
Oh, thanks. You probably saved my marriage.
Why's that?
Well, Ken's in one of his what's-it-all-about moods, so I thought I'd make a special effort tonight.
Lucky man.
Oh, it's only chicken and chips. It's not Chateaubriand.
Well, if it comes to Chateaubriand, I'd sooner have chicken and chips.
Would you like to come?
What?
To have a meal with us tonight.
No, I couldn't possibly.
Why can't you?
Well, in the first place, because it's very short notice for you.
Oh, it's a huge chicken. Honestly, you'd be doing me a big favour if you did.
Now, what do you mean by that?
Well, when he gets in one of his what's-it-all-about moods, we usually end up having somebody around from school for dinner, and they haven't washed for a week and want to change the world.
Well, if you put it like that, how can I refuse?
Good.
On one condition.
What?
That I'm allowed to bring the wine.
All right. Oh, we don't usually have any, but all right. I'll see you about 7 then.
Fine.
Mr. Fairclough! Mr. Fairclough! Oh! Oh, you frightened me.
Did I? Perhaps I should have a bell I could ring, then folks will know it's me that's coming. It's what they used to do in the old days, isn't it? With folks that were afflicted.
I was looking for Len.
Oh?
Well, is he here then?
Not unless he's out there in the dark, heavily disguised as a pile of toilet seats.
Oh, well, I'll come back later then.
Tell me, is your nearest and dearest in yet?
Yeah, why?
Oh, no special reason. I just like to keep track of our big happy family. I mean, that's what we are, isn't it? One big happy family, one for all for one. What was it you said you wanted?
I was looking for Len. He wants some typing doing tomorrow.
Ah, and you, in fact, are volunteering.
That's right.
Well, I always say it's nice to have good friends. Someone to give your affairs a shove in the right direction at the right time, without a thought for their own selfish interests.
I still think you ought to let me take a look at the final figure before submitting it.
Well, I've told you, love, we haven't got the final figures yet. Me and my mate are going to work on them over a few bevies tonight, aren't we, Squire?
Why not?
I see. So, despite all my years of ungrudging service, I shan't be required any further then.
Ah, darling, don't look as if I've just shut your pet budgie in the fridge. You've done your whack. Let us do ours. And don't think we don't appreciate what you've done, because we do.
Yes. Well, if you'll excuse me.
Yes, well, you can excuse me and all while you're at it. I'm sure you two young people must have a great deal to talk about.
No, thanks.
No thanks, I've given up.
Well, that was the best meal I've had for months.
I don't know. You ought to come round when the first team's out, oughtn't he, love?
Oh?
And what my husband is trying to tell you in his modest little way is that when it comes to cooking, his knocks mine into a cocked hat.
I can't really believe that.
Oh, I'm afraid it's true enough. There's only one snag.
What's that?
We usually have to raise a second mortgage to pay for all the food and waste.
Well, we artists can't be
Anything.
muted by such mundane things as expense.
How long have you two been married?
Seems like a lifetime sometimes.
2 lifetimes.
Especially on a Monday morning when the kids have had you up all night.
I never had any kids.
Oh?
I suppose they do help.
Well, they have their entrances and their exits. Cheers.
Cheers. You know, it's a funny thing about other people's houses.
Hmm?
They have distinctive smells. I always think you can tell a happy home. It's got a nice smell about the living room. Unhappy homes always seem to smell like a dungeon. Cheers.
You're joking.
I am not joking. I'm simply telling you what Sandra told me.
Well, perhaps she's joking.
Look, mate, don't be more stupid than you can flaming help. Why would she joke about something like that?
I did knock twice, only I don't think you could hear me.
Yes, Mrs. Culver.
Well, Mr. Fairclough's on with me pipes, so I wondered if I could just fill my kettle to make a cup of tea.
Yeah, sure. Look. Well, can I bring it round for you in a minute myself?
Oh, thank you very much.
Right.
Ta-ra, Dickie.
Ta-ra.
Well?
No, I still don't believe it.
Look, mate, I don't care if you believe the flaming world's flat. Just get your wife off my back and put things straight with Sandra, all right?
You wanted a word with me?
Yes, Mrs. Sharples.
Well, if it's my work you're not satisfied with, you can save your breath till tomorrow morning, because I never mix work with pleasure.
Oh, it's nothing like that, Mrs. Sharples.
Oh, right. Well, in that case, I'll have a milk stout.
I take it that you are still the receptionist at Mr. Howard's salon.
That's right, Mrs. Walker.
Oh, well, in that case, you'll have been given the news.
What news is that?
That I shall be making an appearance there myself in the very near future.
That's nice.
Well, you could hardly miss it, could you, Mrs. Walker?
Miss it?
Well, front page news on the Weatherfield Gazette, wasn't it? Or was that the sludge ship they renamed after another alderman?
Well, about that, Minnie Nugent.
Well, it's nothing you could really put your finger on, Mrs. Sharples.
But she's not been herself lately.
You've noticed it too.
Aye. And I can make a good guess as to what's behind it and all. Or should I say, who's behind it?
Oh?
If you sup with the devil, Ernie Bishop, use a very long spoon. But if it's Willie Piggott you're supping with, get yourself a clothesline.
Brave.
That's what I said.
You're a Stanley.
Who else?
Hilda, my pet, are you sure we're talking about the same fella?
Listen, night turn, 5 nights a week. Good enough for the Duke of Edinburgh, is that, I reckon?
That's what he's been doing. Night turn.
What you been doing?
The other night.
What night?
2 o'clock in the morning. Down at the club.
Oh.
Hey, you're not stopping to have one with me?
No, thanks.
Emily's not with you, then?
No. Do you want to talk to her?
Oh, not particularly. Why, should I?
You always find plenty to talk about when you're in the studio together.
Oh, yes. Hey, you've got a good girl there, you know. She'll make a grand partner for you. In that business of yours, someday.
Oh, well, nobody can say you've not looked after yourself. Never gone to bed once without taking your makeup off and putting your curlers in. Same weight today as on your wedding day. And that's a flaming sight more than you can say for him what you're married. Oh, I've chucked out jelly moulds with better figures than what he's got. Your mother warned you, though, didn't she? All fellas with Clark Gable tashes is philanderous to a man. You heed them words, Hilda Crabtree. That's what she said. Wed him, she said, and you'll be harness to heartaches and pawn shops. All before your time. Ooh, when you think you could have had Sidney Skidmore instead of him, what you're stuck with. Blooming lying, skiving, conniving demick. Out every night, hair full of shiny grease. Drinking dens full of fallen women falling all over him. Ooh, if I was a fallen woman, I wouldn't fall over him with a 10. You're smiling morning, Hilda. Oh, morning. Morning. Very flattering mirrors, these, aren't they?
Morning. It's a lovely day. Fresh. Fresh. It's about as fresh as last Friday's fish. It's freezing. 9 o'clock. Near enough to 11's. Coffee, Wendy?
I'll put the kettle on.
It's broad blooming daylight when you lot come to work. You're all in your beds when I start. That's when it's freezing.
Oh, yes. You know, I often lie in bed and think about your early risers out in the cold, frozen stiff, old before their time.
Enjoy yourself last night, then?
Yes, we had somebody round to supper.
Yeah, I know. Did you have a good time?
Oh,
I think we all did. It was smashing. He seemed at home right away.
A good time was had by all then.
Plus a few, let's not leave it too long before the next times.
Smashing.
Mr. Piggott, asking Mr. Fairclough for the estimate is one thing, but deliberately rifling through papers
I'm
and files
not
which are
asking you to rifle through anything deliberately, but if you are there, then you just might happen to see something accidentally.
Accidentally on purpose was the phrase we used at school. In those days it was a euphemism for deliberately, and it's still a euphemism in the context in which you've just placed it.
What did you have for breakfast? A dictionary? Now look, Miss Nugent, all is fair in love, war and drumming up a bit of business. I'm not asking you to cut his throat, you know.
Aren't you?
No, it's sound business practice, and them that don't agree, they went bankrupt at our last evaluation but one.
So I'm also being asked to bankrupt Mr. Fairclough and Ray as well.
Friend Fairclough and his little Boy Scout will not go bust through losing one contract. Me neither. A quick cry in me beer and then right on to something else.
Well, in that case, why on earth are you so anxious for me to go?
Ego, love. I love winning. Butchering business, building trade, three-card brag. And I've always shown my gratitude to them that helped me win. Like the well-known hymn says, you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours.
Aside from the pair of you scratching one another's backs as a sight I'd go a long, long way to miss.
Well, excuse me, Mr. Sharples. I've got a right day on today.
It's a right day every day for your sort.
One of nature's gems is Mrs. S. She sees right through me, she does. One of her vanishing breed, love.
I thought you were about to do something like that. What does he want this time, Mr. Poor Pie Piggott? Like a blooming shuttle, in and out, in and out. Something's up, isn't it?
In what way?
Well, the way you're fiddling about with them snapshots for a start. You've had that one in and out of 3 different files while I've been here.
Would you say the end ever justifies the means, Mrs. Sharples?
Oh, I see. Piggott pops in to discuss points of philosophy with you.
I'm being serious.
Oh, I see. All right. Well, I reckon the end can justify the means. But I should want to know what end you were talking about and what means you were using to justify it.
Yes.
Well, am I going to get the full text?
Oh, it's something and nothing, really, Mrs. Sharples, but you have been very helpful. Very helpful.
Well, how did Bobby actually send it, Mrs. Caldwell?
Well, I gave him a ping-pong ball for Christmas. He pounces on it, you see, and plays football with his paws right into the
Oh,
earth.
and his tail went right into the fire.
Well, normally he's so careful where he puts it.
He must have got a bit carried away.
I just don't know what you'd do for a burnt tail. Oh, perhaps if I were to wrap it up to keep the air off.
Oh, well, I think that's as good as anything.
Oh, thank you, Audrey. Well, I'll go and do that right away. Ta-ra, Dickie.
All right.
Oh, thank you, love.
What's wrong, Mrs. Caldwell?
You know that cat gets more affection than most human beings?
Well, Mrs. Caldwell's got nobody close to give affection to except Bobby. And people need to give affection, you know.
Right. Talking about affection,
No, I've not. I've not apologised to Sandra, and I've not said I'm sorry.
well, that crack you made about her only getting Ray because he was in a wheelchair was a bit off. Couldn't you have said something yesterday when she called round?
She's always calling round.
Ray and Sandra are getting married. She only wants to help. Or is it Ray? You've not still got a thing about him, have you?
No, I've not still got a thing about Ray. I've got a thing about who runs this house.
Well, if she gets under your feet, you can tell her, can't you?
Are you in for dinner?
I mean, it's just not true, you know, about Ray and Sandra.
All right. And your question was, are you in for dinner?
I guess something at Jackson's.
Look, I'm not the only one who thinks Sandra hooked Ray because he's in a wheelchair, so don't go round thinking it's just me.
If it's being said, Ray, it doesn't really matter who's saying it, does it?
3 guesses. Mrs. Audrey Fleming. Is it one of them? And she's the only one, isn't she?
Jack, would you mind telling me why everybody's whispering?
Haven't a clue, love. Would you mind telling me why you are?
I find it easier than yodeling.
Oh.
If there's any truth in it, you can tell me. I mean, I'd rather... Is there?
Well, let's face it, kid. Before I became the Dr. Strangelove you see before you, I had what was known as a fantastic female following. I had to fight them off. The number of times I've dialed 999 to get away from them. And if you believe one word of that, well, you believe what Audrey said. Just remember, it was me that made the play for you, all right? And don't forget, it was definitely you who was going to get the bevy in, because I'm half dehydrated, kid.
Hey, Stan, I've been thinking. Well, I think it'd be better all round, and for you and me in particular, like, if you was to give up this job.
Oh, no. I'll soldier on.
Yeah, but you're not getting no sleep. I'm not getting no sleep. That's two of us not getting no sleep.
Oh, well, it's all right, you see. I've cracked it. I can get as much kip as I want. Eh? There's ways around most things, you know.
I don't like whispering, and it's very bad-mannered when other people are present.
Well, if there's no one else present, there's no point in whispering, is there?
It is also the language of conspirators and informers, the purveyors of rumour.
You're not a yours sincerely. You're an obedient servant, you know. You're a yours sincerely. And are you both going to sign it? Oh, excuse me, Miss Nugent. I thought it was Mr. Fairclough. You should be back by now. Is there anything I can do?
Well, I was wondering if I might use the telephone if it's not imposing too much.
Oh, help yourself.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much.
Oh, you mean private? Sorry.
If it's not convenient, Audrey, I mean, if you're typing something important.
Oh, it's only that contract thing. I've been typing it for hours.
Thank you. No, there's no message. I'll ring again later. Thank you very much.
Oh, that was a quickie.
Oh, out at lunch. I'll perhaps try again later.
Yeah. Oh, well, back to the grindstone, nose to the keyboard. Are you happy in your work?
Well, I never really think about whether or not I'm happy.
Hello, Miss Nugent. How's it going with you?
Oh, hello, Mr. Fairclough.
Oh, we got the estimate worked out, by the way, to be in the post this afternoon.
Oh, good. Well, we'll have to keep our fingers crossed now. Hope that the estimate's not too high.
I reckon we're spot on. You know, Mrs. Sharples once said to me that a good shepherd always fleeces his sheep. He never flays them. I think our estimate's somewhere between fleecing and flaying.
Well, I'd better be on the way, Mr. Fairclough.
By the way, it was 12,300. The estimate, 12,300. I thought you might be interested.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Fairclough.
What time is Mrs. Walker's appointment?
There we are. Mrs. Clown, Mrs. Sutcliffe, DDT, 3:30.
DDT?
Dowager Duchess time. We have another Mrs. Walker that comes in here.
Fine, because Duchess treatment is exactly what I want the Mrs. Walker to have.
Oh, the Mrs. Walker. You're expecting her to bring in some fresh customer, are you?
No, I just don't want her putting a damper on the custom I've already got. I'll just make sure that nobody makes a botch of whatever dish is coming in for.
Trim, shampoo and set.
Yeah.
Game and match to Mrs. Tanner. By the way, how was the cuisine at Shea Barlow's last night?
Look, I thought we agreed we wouldn't live in each other's pockets. Either of us could go our own way whenever we chose. Isn't that so?
Yeah.
All right, then.
All right, then. But I really don't see what that has to do with what I've just asked you.
Well, it's about Stanley Ogden. Stanley... Me? Oh, I'm just a well-wisher. No, I'd rather be an anonymous well-wisher. Yeah, well, it's just to let you know that your night watchman, Stanley Ogden, is spending his nights getting boozed up to the eyeballs and having kips. Kips? Okay? Sleeping. Yeah. That's what's wrong with the world these days, you know. Nobody wants to do a fair day's work, a fair night's work for a fair night's pay. You are. You'll take stringent measures if it's true. Oh, it's true, all right. You'll find out. Right. Yeah, thank you very much. Eh? No, like I said, I prefer to remain anonymous.
Oh, hello, love. Do you remember the man who came to dinner?
Vaguely.
Yeah, well, he's come to lunch as well, bearing a bottle of Chateau Bessie Street off-licence Bordeaux.
Probably bottled yesterday.
Well, in this house, mate, that's the best vintage there is. You got an extra plate for Alan, have you?
Oh, well, I think so. It's only meat and potato hash.
You sure it's all right?
Well, it should be. It's been in the oven all morning.
Oh, she's fast, you know, when she gets her repartee rockets launched.
Can you lay a table?
Can he open a bottle of wine?
I'll lay the table.
Your boss has just been on the phone, wants to see you urgent.
On the phone? Where?
Here.
Are you having me on? Cross your heart and...
I'll cross out. He's waiting for you to ring back.
Huh? Can I use your phone?
Oh, go and help yourself.
Please don't think I'm getting a complex, and correct me if I'm mistaken. But that is Miss Nugent over there with Mr. Pickett, whispering, isn't it? Whispering?
They're all talking about you behind your back.
You do understand that I've only done this for Mr. Bishop and Mrs. Sharples, don't you? And I expect you to honour your part of the arrangement.
Now, what did I tell you? Scratch my back and
Or,
I'll,
as the motto of the stock exchange says, my word is my bond.
Aye, that's me, all right. You know, I wish I had a woman like you behind me. Somebody with a bit of polish on that, eh? Hey, 12 grand, you said, didn't you?
12 grand. And 3 C's.
Hey, did you ever see Jimmy Cagney in Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye? Or how about Bogart? San Quentin, The Big Shot, Casablanca? George Raft, or Edward G, eh? Oh, they knew how to make films in them days, you know. Ah, well, if they've slapped in 12,003, I could shave mine down to about 11,900. And that'll clinch the contract easy enough. Well, I am in your debt, Miss Nugent, but don't worry, I'll be in touch from time to time.
Less frequently, I hope.
Honey, as far as young girls go, you won the raffle, boy. Miss Nugent, smart as be damned is that one.
He wants you round there right away. Chief spear carrier, you know, head lad himself. Maybe he's recognised my potential. Ha ha! There you are, Jack, you tell her who the phone's for. Of course, it might be another firm with a better job offer.
They must think a lot of you at that place, Stan.
I didn't get 2 short planks when they got me. Of course, it's the law of life, you know. Talent will out, eventually.
Well, it's just a suggestion, Mrs. Walker, but I think a protein shampoo might be a good idea.
Oh, and why would you suggest that, Sandra?
Well, you have got rather fine hair, and I think a protein shampoo's just...
How long have you been a hairdresser, Sandra? Or rather, how long have you been working as a hairdresser?
Well, it must be going on for 3 years now.
Yes, well, over a long period, dear, considerably longer than your 3 years, I have been to many hairdressers in many parts of the world. Paris, Babacoon, Eastbourne, Old Colwyn, and Falmouth, Mallorca. And the texture of my hair has never been described as fine.
Yes, well, I said it was just a suggestion, Mrs. Walker.
You are the junior assistant, I take it?
Yes, but I'm aging quickly.
I must confess that I did expect to be attended by the senior hairdresser.
Well,
however...
Hi.
Oh, hello, Dickie.
I was wondering if you'd like to come round for your tea tonight.
That's great. What time about?
Well, just as soon as you're through here.
Yes, which might be rather late if we have any more interruptions. When you're ready, Sandra. I have been ready now for some time.
Know thyself. That's what Plato reckoned you ought to be able to do. Well, I don't mind telling you that what I know about myself is that I've got me limitations. In fact, far too many limitations all round.
Your limitations, lad, don't hurt anybody, not even yourself. No, it's fellas like Piggy that hurt everybody around and always end up by being hurt themselves worst of all.
It strikes me the pigots of this world are the ones that get the most of it and the best.
The sin folk do by 2 and 2, they must pay for 1 by 1. It's as true today as ever it was. That goes for Piggott and probably the whole of this so-called permissive society sooner or later.
You're flying in the face of the facts, Mrs. Sharples.
I'm not interested in facts, lad. You can't eat 'em and they do naught for your soul. You see, in my lifetime, I have been witness to the virtual rejection of the Word of God. I've even lived long enough to see educated men on television seriously supporting sin of one sort or another. Sin in the eyes of our Lord.
Perhaps.
And what have they traded him in for? Films and books full of four-letter words and folk with no clothes on. Drugs for dropping out when they get world-weary at 19 and 20 years of age. Selfishness like getting rid of babies if they're a bit inconvenient. Or selfishness by putting parents into old folks' homes. And finally, we've got hopelessness in place of faith.
Not sure I can accept that, Mrs. Sharples.
Well, I've not heard much hope expressed for man's future. Not with man's pollution, man's chemical warfare, and man's hydrogen bombs.
One man's limitation may be another man's limitless pastures. Well, take them files, for example. Emily has imposed order on chaos.
You're convinced she's about to work for Piggott, aren't you?
Well, what do you think's going on?
I don't know. I've tried asking. I think it's time you tried.
Just the merest mist of lacquer, please.
Auntie Elsie bought that.
I don't know much about the practicalities of hairdressing, Mrs. Walker, but it seems that this particular lacquer contains a tint. It could affect your hair if ever it's been bleached at any time.
Bleached? Whatever gave you that idea? My hair has been exactly this colour since I was a tiny girl.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm sure it's all right then.
What effect would it have had if my hair had been bleached?
It could turn it green, Mrs. Walker.
I see. Oh, well, perhaps we'd better be on the safe side and forego the lacquer, having already foregone one or two other things. My bill, please. At least the bill is prompt. Well, it's considerably less than... What does it say there?
Reduced rates apply to clients who have retirement age and over. Please present your pension book to the receptionist when making it... Oh.
Perhaps, in your eyes, Sandra, my years of too fair to love, too divine to worship are well and truly behind me. But I do assure you, I do not qualify for your reduced rates.
I'm terribly sorry, Mrs. Walker.
Just go and get the right bill, Sandra. I'm sorry, Mrs. Walker, but well, she's reached the age now she's very anxious to be off promptly at 5 o'clock. Well, I think you look very nice, Mrs. Walker. Do you like it?
Like the curate's egg, Mr. Howard, in pots.
And I'll thank you not to dish out invitations to tea again. Not without asking me first.
Sorry.
We'll have to get in extra when we have guests.
Sandra is not a guest.
From now on, Sandra's gonna be a guest.
Do you know what I'm going to miss when I get out of this wheelchair? Miniskirts. You get a fantastic view from down here. Hello, Audrey.
Ray. Hello, Sandra.
Hello.
You wouldn't like to give me a hand, would you? I've got something to say to you. About what I said about you and Ray. I shouldn't have said it, Sandra.
It's all right. It is now. It's more than all right.
Friends with me again.
Friends.
Well, I've been sacked a few times, been laid off, you know, but I've never been suspended before.
Suspended? For how long?
One night.
One night?
You know, Jack, I've been shot.
Never.
Some snotty-nosed snooper has shot me, I'll tell you.
I thought we only had snoopers in our trade. Hey, I can't stomach folk like that.
I'm going to ferret this one out. I've still got 14 stone of fighting flesh left.
Well, why would I want to leave?
Better prospects.
But I've helped to build this business up. My present prospects are very good.
Yes, but when I offered you that partnership, well, you didn't exactly give the impression of being overly excited. Pleased, even.
Well, if it's still on offer, and if you don't mind a verbal acceptance for the time being.
Partner?
Partner.
Oh, Emily, honestly, you know, I thought you and Piggott were... I mean, I really thought you were going off to work for him, you know.
Everyone a loser. He had a personal problem and he appealed to me to help. Bookkeeping. Anyway, it's done now.
I'll have a large scotch, please, Mr. Walker. There's no to touch a good whiskey. Agreed.
Ah, well, my pocket's not that deep, you know. I'll take your word for it, Mr. Piggott.
Hey, give this lad a double whiskey and all while you're at it, Mr. Walker. Some for yourself.
Half a glass of it will do for me, thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Piggott.
Well, it's not as drafty in here tonight. Probably because Fairclough's not in. The wind when he opens his mouth these days.
Oh, well, he's very happy, you see, at the moment, because him and Langton have got a contract for a new university.
Hey, the contract is to put the plumbing in one of the buildings, and they haven't definitely got it either. I've just put it off my own tender. Same job.
Oh, so it's between the two of you, eh?
No, there'll be half a dozen in for it, but all the same, I'll get it. I'll bet out on that.
Cheers.
I could do with some decent brochures, you know the sort of thing I mean. I mean, if you don't, that's the sort of thing I don't mean. Mm-hmm. Oh, you need some photogravure stuff. You know, glossy paper, crisp print, clear pics. I've done quite a few in my time. Mm-hmm. Yes, now the trouble with Emily and me is that she is and I'm not. Emily, when you a minute. That's a very polite way of saying right now. Oh, Emily, could you find Mr. Fairclough some examples of our photogravure work? You know, brochures, that sort of thing.
Yes, of course.
I've had a bit of good luck since I saw you last, love. I got a load of bankrupt stock this afternoon.
Oh.
About 80% of it is plumbing stuff.
That sounds all right, Mr. Fairclough.
You wouldn't chuckle, love. Brings the estimate down to 11,700. 600 quid down. That's more like it. That's the kind of thing I'm looking for. Look at the layout on that page.
Whose funeral are you going to watch?
No funeral. That new mission Nina Sharples was on about down Victoria Street.
You what?
Well, it is Sunday morning, isn't it?
It's Sunday morning every flame, we don't usually bother.
No, well, sometimes your need of it's greater than other times, isn't it?
What need?
Heavenly guidance. And that's something you could do worse than get a bit off Sunday morning instead of sat there stinking in your pyjamas.
The only heavenly guidance I need is the name of the fellow that shot me.
Oh, yeah, well, I suppose that's something we'll never find out, isn't it,
I'll
Chuck?
find out if it takes me the last of me puff.
Yeah, but that's not really the idea behind it, is it, though, going to church, like?
What?
Getting your own back. I mean, it's forgive us trespasses like that. We forgive them what trespass against us, isn't it? If you're a believer.
Ah, well, I'm not a flipping believer, am I?
Ah, Stan. You've not gone completely prognostic. Huh? On any road. I mean, for all you know, there might have been obliterating circumstances.
Huh?
Yeah, I mean, happen this person or persons unknown had your best interests at heart when they did what they did.
My interests?
Yeah, I mean, happen they thought your health was being affected conversely, like, you know,
There's
working all
not
them
wrong with
nights.
my health, which is more than I can say for the flaming health of that bloke when I catch up with him.
Good morning, Miss Nugent.
Do excuse me, Mr. Piggott, I'm on my way to chapel.
Oh, I like a lass who goes to a chapel on a Sunday.
I wouldn't really have thought chapel came within the orbit of your experience, Mr. Piggott.
Every Sunday, regular as clockwork, right up to the day my voice broke.
Really?
I'd have gone back after I got my voice back and all. Only that turned the place into a bingo palace. Would you say that was the sign of the times, Emily?
I like to believe one can find more uplifting ones, if one's prepared to lift one's nose out of the gutter. And now I am in rather a hurry.
Oh, in case you're interested, it's in the post.
Post?
Tender.
Oh.
Worked out at 11,900. I can't see anyone beating that, can you?
Yeah. 11,700, right?
It's got to be good. Even I can't improve on it.
Are you buying the Rolls Royces or shall I?
Oh, I'll get them this time, shall I? You got the meat pies.
Oh, hello, Bernard. Nice to see you here.
Oh, well, my aunt and now Sandra both seem to think it'd be a good idea if I came along.
Good. Oh, good morning, Mrs. Ogden.
Morning. I did hear you got Mrs. Sharple's in to clean for you.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, well, I just thought I'd let you know if she found it too much for her and you wanted a younger person. Thank you.
Good morning.
Hello, Mrs. Caldwell. I thought you wouldn't be far away.
Me and Ina was wondering...
What's that, Mrs. Caldwell?
Well, perhaps you and Miss Nugent would like to come for your dinner after to Ina's flat. Only I'd be awfully glad if you would, because it's my turn.
Your turn, Mrs. Caldwell.
To do the hot pot.
Oh, it's very kind of you. I'm sure we both love to come.
Oh,
thank you very much.
Hey, I say.
Yes, mister.
It won't put you off, will it?
What's that, Mr. Tatlock?
If I shut my eyes while you're talking. You know, it helps me concentrate on what you're saying.
So long as I know you're not asleep.
Oh, well, you'll be able to tell if I'm asleep.
How's that?
Well, I breathe heavy through my nostrils.
It's just as well to know.
Oh, there is one other thing.
Yes, Mr. Tatlock.
Will it be bread and milk pudding or hellfire and damnation?
Pardon?
Your sermon.
Oh, well, one hopes that there'll be a little bit of everything in a sermon, Mr. Tatlock.
Well, I'm a hellfire and damnation chap myself.
I'll try and remember that for next time.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Tatlock.
Who told you you could sit there?
Pardon?
I'm sitting there.
Oh?
Look, I left my cap on that seat. Half an hour since when place first opened.
Oh, I can't say I remember seeing a cap here, Mr. Tatlock, no. Oh. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Everyone certainly seems to have rallied round the flag.
Thanks to the sterling efforts of Mrs. Sharples.
Sure has been something of a precursor to be reckoned with.
There have been a few more young people about, though.
There is Bernard.
Of course, the preponderance of senior citizens isn't to be wondered at, really, when you come to think of it. I mean, there must be worse ways of saving on lighting and heat than coming to church on a Sunday morning when you've only got your pension to eke out on. Good morning. Friends, we shall begin this morning's meeting by singing hymn number 346. O Jesus, full of truth and grace, more full of grace than I of sin, yet once again I seek thy face. Open thine arms and take me in, and freely my backslidings heal, and love the faithless sinner still.
All right, 5 o'clock then, eh?
Hello, off duty again, eh?
Yeah.
What's that
All alive, eh?
Hey, what's that supposed to mean? He's been on duty all night.
Oh, no insult. It's a cushy number. Everybody knows that.
Do they?
Oh, that's where they get the expression Bobby's job from, you know. Soft touch.
So that's where it comes from, is it?
Ah, well, it's history, I mean, isn't it? I mean, I've got nought against it.
Of course not.
Do you know, sometimes I think I miss my way, not going in for it myself. Especially when I see you lot at the football matches and the seats in the front, you know.
You?
Well, no to it, is there? Just walk up and down, flick a few latches, pinch a couple of cards to make up the tally, and a nice pension at the end when you're still young enough to enjoy it.
Funny, all these years I've been a bobby, I never realised before now how easy it all was.
I reckon you'd be glad enough to see a policeman. That's, of course, if you ever really needed one.
Never find one when you want one, can you?
Do you know, when I first met your Hilda, I thought she was the biggest crate egg I'd ever met.
Oh?
I was wrong, wasn't I? Huh? You could give a 20-yard start any time, can't you?
So in future, you will try no new cheap hair lacquer. I don't care if the salesman does remind you of Dennis Tanner.
Yes, sir.
Consider yourself told off.
Well, it was worth it, for only to hear Annie Walker admit she bleaches her hair.
Have you got any of it?
The stuff we cut off, you mean? Well, funny you should mention it. But we were thinking of putting a bit in a box, just in case she got awkward in future and tried her Lady Macbeth bit.
Hang on to some of it.
Why?
Never mind why, hang on to some of it.
Hey, you've heard naught from behind the bar, have you?
What about?
About that fella that shot me to the gaffer.
No, I haven't, and I wouldn't tell you if I had.
What have I done?
Oh, nothing from what I can see. I mean, from the day that you took your first breath. So stop knocking them that has. And if you think that police work is so very easy, do your own detecting.
Hey, Langton, how is it that Grandma Moses and her harmonium didn't lure you down the street to the mission this morning?
Yeah, well, I did think about it, only the trouble is my gaffer doesn't carry a card for that particular union.
Your gaffer?
Yeah, you can pick him out anywhere. He's got 2 little lumps sticking up out of his head, here. And he carries his own toasting fork about, you know.
In a week, in 1 week.
Get
away. Absolutely.
Pickett, my mugger and me was just talking about you, weren't we?
The resemblance is almost uncanny. Nothing good, I hope.
Nothing you couldn't tell your father. Assuming you had one, of course. Strange. He let me get away with that one, didn't he? Now he that betrayed him gave them a sign, saying, Whomsoever I shall kiss, that same is he. Hold him fast. A betrayal, brethren. A betrayal that took place 2,000 years ago. But a betrayal that is still as relevant in our lives today as it was then. For which one of us here can say that he has never been guilty of some kind of betrayal of somebody or something in the course of his life? And which of us hasn't slunk off afterwards, as Judas did, hoping to find some way of redeeming the wrong that betrayal had made? And now let's sing hymn number 361. Where shall my wandering soul begin? How shall I all to heaven aspire? A slave redeemed from death and sin, a brand plucked from eternal fire.
Ta, buddy.
Okay, love.
Cheerio, love.
Ta-ra.
Hey, is there any personal service down this end?
Oh, get lost. The towels are over. Or have you lost your eyesight along with the other faculties?
So business is good then?
Just a minute, I'll be with you in a minute, Ted. Okay, Willie. Well, not as good as it will be when the contract comes through.
The contract?
Yeah. You know, the big university hostel contract.
Oh, that contract?
Oh, fancy that.
Oh, don't tell me you're after that one at all.
By an amazing coincidence, yes.
Oh, never mind, you can't win them all.
Would you, like to put your money where your mouth is on that?
Well, I tell you, normally I would be happy to oblige you.
Oh?
But I never bet on certainties. It offends a sportsman in me. You know what I mean, son?
Hey, Stanley, tell us something, will you?
Yep.
All these ugly rumours flying about you losing the job that I got you, they are untrue, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, of course they are, you know. Just a misunderstanding between me and the boss, like, you know.
I see. He understood that as he was paying you for 8 hours, you'd be there for 8 hours, only you weren't.
Ah, something like that, huh? It's all cleared up now, though.
Then they wonder why us and the Russians can't understand each other.
Who do you think it was?
What?
The fella that shot me.
What makes you think it was a fella, Stanley?
Huh?
Well, love, I don't want to seem disloyal to my own sex, but poison is a woman's weapon, not a fella's.
Have you been putting herbs in that pot? Oh, just a bay leaf, like I always do. You've not salted it twice, have you, like you did last time?
Are you
Nurse Sharples, if you're trying to get my Paddy up, you'll finally succeed.
You what?
Well, this stove isn't big enough for both of us.
Well, it's my stove, you know.
And it's my turn to do the cooking. I'd be very glad if you'd leave me alone to get on with, or else I'll pour it all down the slopstone.
It's folk with your attitude that start world wars.
And it's folks with yours that provoke them. Now, if you'll get the plates, I'm ready to serve. Thank you very much.
I hope I'm not being too optimistic about these improvements. You know, when I was a lad, my mother said never to bank on anything, you know.
Very sensible.
Yes, there's many a slip twixt cup and lip. I don't think there's much danger now, though. What do you think, Emily?
You'd best sit down before little Hitler over there starts matching us all up and down.
I'm afraid I'll have to be excused. I seem to have suddenly lost my appetite.
Emily!
You stop where you are, Annie Bishop.
But...
Hey, steady on there.
You sit down. If she's got anything to tell us, we shall hear it in her own good time. And if she hasn't, well, it's her own business, isn't it? Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I shall know what to do myself then next time, shan't I?
Pam?
Oh, that Emily with me news. She walked straight past me, never much has looked at me.
Oh, well, happens she's got a lot on her mind.
Yeah, well, she's not the only one. All right, having a bit of a party, are you?
Well, there's a place going if you want it.
Why? Who's dropped out?
Miss Nugent. Well, do you want some, don't you?
No, thank you very much. If you'd wanted me, you'd have invited me.
Oh, well.
Any more?
No. That seems to be a complete resume of what happened.
So all the time you were so bothered about us putting a tender in, all that you really wanted was the figure. For Piggott, right?
Yes.
You make Mata Hari sound like a vestal flipping virgin, don't you?
I won't try to make excuses for what I've done.
I should think you flaming won't.
But I do want you to understand I was doing what I thought was best for everybody under the circumstances.
Oh, come on, Nugent. The only one you were doing your best for was Ernest flipping Bishop.
That is not true. It isn't only Ernest's studio that's in danger, it's Mrs. Sharple's home.
Well, what about our flaming contract, then?
The loss of a contract is merely a setback. The loss of a home at Mrs. Sharple's age, especially one she's settled down into, could be disastrous.
Which brings us to the $65,000 question, doesn't it, Miss Nugent?
What question?
Why, after so successfully deceiving us two ignorant slobs, does Miss Nugent, double agent, suddenly come in from the cold and tell all, and on the very night we were going to put our tender in?
I would have thought that was obvious.
It is to me. But for them as aren't quite as razor-witted as I am, let's spell it out, shall we?
What's she spelling?
She's confessing. Because she knows, like we know, that our tender's lower than Piggott's, right?
Right.
Cyril, love. Some visitors for you. I'll be in the shop if you want me, though.
Mrs. Caldwell, Bernard. Well, sit yourself down, Mrs. Caldwell.
How do?
What can I do for you, then?
Oh, no, it's not me. It's Mrs. Caldwell.
About my wallpaper.
It keeps coming up in the front bedroom.
Oh.
Leaves. That's what we thought, in the guttering.
Oh, I see. Mrs. Caldwell's got dampness in the bedroom because leaves are blocking up the guttering, right?
Wrong.
Wrong?
There were no leaves, not when I got up to have a look, like. The gutter's rotten. It needs replacing.
Well, have you seen Lead Fairclough?
Oh, well, we thought we'd better come and have a word with you, seeing as how you're a bobby and all that, and how you know about these things.
Guttering?
No, letter writing to Mr. Wormold, the landlord. I mean, it's not really Mrs. Caldwell's place to pay for a repair of that sort.
Oh, I see. I didn't realise it was so important. So, you've come round here to ask me to draft the letter for her.
That's right.
You wouldn't like me to go through it again?
No, thanks, Bernard. I think I got the general idea. Just leave it with me, will you?
Right.
Oh, thank you very much.
I told you it'd be all right, Mrs.
Oh, I off
Thank
then.
you.
Yes, off we go. Ta-ta, love. Ta-ta, and there you go. What was all that about?
Oh, to write a letter for Mrs. Caldwell, a very important letter about her guttering. Oh, well, I suppose it's a good thing somebody around here thinks bobbies are good for summit.
Look, are you sure you want a cup of tea instead of a bottle of beer?
Well, if it's not too much trouble, Stanley.
Well, it is. You better come and help me make it.
You know, when you get to my age, you've overstepped your welcome. You know, I often feel like chucking the whole blooming lot.
Well, it all boils down to the fact that at heart you're an hippie, Mr. Tatlock.
You what?
An hippie, you know, somebody who's rejected society.
How can you reject something you're living?
Oh, it's easy. You just drop out. Just wherever you happen to be at the time, like.
Oh, aye?
Yeah, I've been reading all about it in Mr. Ogden's paper here.
Well, let's have a look.
Look, down there.
Assuming that it was a woman who shocked you, Stanley, how are you going to set about finding out?
Oh, touch the old Sherlock Holmes, you know.
Eh?
Process of elimination.
Elimination?
Aye. Make a list in your head and then mark them off. And each one that's clear as they drop out. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Now then, take Elsie Tanner, for instance. Can't be her because she told me the wink could be a woman.
Yeah.
Harold. It can't be her because she got me the job in the first place, didn't she?
I was hoping I might catch you on your own, like.
Why? What have you done this time?
Oh, not me exactly. No, this acquaintance of mine.
Which one?
Well, I don't think she'd thank me for giving her name, not under the circumstances.
Oh?
But she did ask me to approach you for her, you know, you being a policeman's wife and conversational with the psychiatric side of life, like.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, you see, this acquaintance of mine has got this husband.
Oh, yes.
And he works nights.
Like Stan?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's never worked regular nights before. In fact, he's never worked regular anything before, not for any length of time. But she, my friend, like, misses him.
At night?
After 27 years of happily, them being married so long.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why she did it.
What?
Tried to get him the sack by a malicious telephone call.
Oh, I see. She was the one that did it.
Yeah. So, what do you think she ought to do, like, to rectify the situation?
Well, there's only one thing you can do, Hilda, love.
What?
Go to your Stan, throw yourself on your knees in front of him, and make a complete confession.
You know Mrs. Caldwell?
Oh, hello, Mr. Ogden.
Having a quiet minute?
I think there's something very restful about a public house in the early evening.
I'm not disturbing you, am I?
Oh, no, I'm very glad of your company.
Yeah. I've been wanting to have a little chat with you for some time now.
Tell you, no catch. Tomorrow then.
Good.
Excuse me then.
Are we on then?
Yeah.
Will it work?
Yes, mate. It can't fail.
Of course, in the French Foreign Legion, they pin them to the table with a bayonet.
Oh, dear. Oh.
Squealers. Fellas who grass on their mates and drop a minute.
Oh, I see.
Now, you wouldn't grass on a mate, would you, Mrs. Cole?
Oh, no, Mr. Ogden, I've never grassed on anybody. My mother was very hard on grassers. Only, I don't like the idea of bayonets.
Right then, Willie, what's it gonna be, eh? Well, get them lined up tight and, Aye, aye.
Here comes Machiavelli.
Evening, brothers. What are you having then?
Oh, no, my shout. A whiskey and thing for Brother Piggott, please, Emily.
Well, that's very handsome of you, son.
Yes, well, I'm a very handsome lad, Mr. Piggott, or hadn't you noticed?
To the contract then, eh?
Yeah, we'll drink to that, won't we, partner?
Aye.
May the best man win.
Here's to him. Oh, I suppose it's asking you to do too much then, is it? To leave bottle on doorstep instead of in middle of the street, get kicked all up place. I said, I suppose it's asking you to do too much then, is it? Morning. Oh, well, you know me next time I talk to you, Stan Ogden. Why, you must have a bit of a liquor when even your neighbours are that ignorant.
Hey, Albert.
What?
Which of the women round here think's got enough in for me to tell my gaffer I've been skiving?
Are you asking my opinion?
I wouldn't ask you otherwise, would I?
Every single one. Huh? You can't trust nobody these days. Nobody. The whole world and everybody in it's gone to dogs. I said they've gone to dogs.
Has anybody got any fags?
This should have been a bit of a golden day in our grey lives, shouldn't it, Mr. Fairclough?
Well, I know it hasn't been so bad so far.
So far. You've only been up 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I haven't had a funny pain yet. Either. Marvellous.
Have you always been resilient, Leonard?
If that means do I always look on the bright side of things, yes.
You tell me something, does it get easier as you get older? Life, I mean.
No, I wouldn't say it got any easier.
What then?
You don't take things as seriously. Winning isn't so important. What's the point? You don't starve in England nowadays, you know. In fact, a single chap can live fairly well on dole. Thousands are proving it every day.
No regrets, then?
Someone else will turn up, never fear.
Yeah. I bet poor Miss Nugent's not doing much laughing this morning.
Hey, I've been wondering. Do you think we ought to tell her what's going on?
Not on your Nelly. She'll find out soon enough. In the meantime, my cruel streaks has led her stew. Anyway, I don't think she's ever really happy. What, she's a bit miserable like me.
Riding or staggering today?
Riding. Dickie had me staggering when he dropped me off here. Come here.
Yes, I think. Yes. Here it is.
Well, thank the Lord for that. We thought Minnie Colwood had lost her reputation, the nattering she's done about missing that thing.
Must have slipped out of her purse when she was contributing to our collection yesterday. And an exceptionally good collection it was too, wasn't it, Emily?
Pardon? Oh, yes,
One
exceptionally
thing that
good.
puzzles me, Mrs. Sharples, now why should Mrs. Caldwell be so fond of a St. Christopher medallion? I mean, she doesn't do very much travelling, does she?
Well, that's what I tell her. This St. Christopher's been demoted anyway. Oh, she reckoned it once saved her life when a tandem she and her husband were riding broke in two.
Wouldn't have thought even the wheel would be invented when Mrs. Caldwell was young enough to take to the open road.
She's not all that much older than me.
Oh, no offence, Mrs. Sharples. Hey, have I told you about my latest brainwave for this studio improvement project?
You make it sound like a new town hall. After all, you're only smartening the place up a bit and it's not before time.
Oh, no, it's more than that, Mrs. Sharples. It's a facelift for the premises and for me, too. No, what I had in mind was that we should make the whole of the frontage glass. You know, like one of them airline offices. They always look pretty swish, you know.
Ernest,
Yes, Emily?
you've an appointment at 10.
Have I? I don't remember.
Please take it from me that you have.
Yeah, all right. Well, I better be off then. I'll show you exactly what I mean when I see you later on, Mrs. Sharples.
Ah, you do that.
Oh, don't forget to lock up.
Now, what were all that about?
I just couldn't let him go on.
Go on.
About his alterations to the studio.
Oh, you get him or something?
No. They'll never happen. Never come to pass.
Well, what'll stop it?
Mr. Piggott, our kindly leaseholder. Kindly, that's a laugh.
Piggott. I had a notion that there was something going on. You only see him when he's up to something.
You'd better hear the whole sad, rather disgraceful story.
Yes, I'd better.
Mr. Piggott threatened not to renew the studio lease, with all its attendant disappointments for Ernest.
Not to mention me, I suppose.
No, indeed. You were marked down for eviction.
What was his price?
Well, Mr. Piggott is a competitor of Mr. Fairclough's for the plumbing contract.
And he wanted something.
Mr. Fairclough's figure for the tender, so he could undercut it.
And you gave it him?
Yes. After days of heart-searching and wrestling with my conscience, which always has been a rather formidable opponent.
Well, nobody can argue with that. I suppose I ought to say thanks for saving me and Ernest, though the means were not...
You can save your moral lecture, Mrs. Sharples. It's all been in vain.
In vain?
Yes, Mr. Fairclough's since reduced his original figure. He's bound to get the contract. Today, as a matter of fact. Which means that Mr. Piggott...
will be after his pound of flesh.
Yes. And there doesn't seem to be anything I can do this time.
No. There are times when you can't do anything.
You know, I've
always believed confession was good for the soul. But I don't feel a jot better.
Come on. Let's go home, for as long as it is home.
So after I'd been fined £15 for something I didn't do, the prosecuting solicitor had the gall to ask for a fee. An advocate's fee, he called it, and he got it. 5 guineas that I had to pay. Topping that lamppost has cost me more than £20, say nothing of the damage to my own car.
Does seem a lot.
Oh, I don't know, I think I'm going to appeal. There must be some appeal against this advocate's fee.
Well, didn't you at the time?
No,
in court?
No. I felt like a small boy in front of the headmaster. No, I felt if I did appeal, I'd like to make it £50.
A lot of people complain about having to pay advocates' fees. You can make a reasonable fine into an extortionate one. But, as the lawyers say, costs follow the event.
They certainly do. I don't see why I should pay the man who helped to nail me unjustly.
You yourself weren't represented by a solicitor.
No, I wasn't going to spend good money on that, not me. I don't need a solicitor to help me to tell the truth.
I quite agree you shouldn't need one, Mr. Howard. But court cases can be a battle of wits, with a defendant who's usually a stranger to everything at a disadvantage. He can be confused, overawed, bullied, perhaps. While we enjoy the fairest justice in the world, the people who administer it ain't perfect. In fact, some are very far from it.
Very well put, Cyril.
Well, I'll try and remember that next time. In the meantime, thank you for listening to my tale of woe.
Oh, part of the job, Mr. Howard. A good part on it.
Yes. Well, to death.
Yeah. Not a satisfied customer, love.
Don't you get fed up with it, Liz?
Fed up?
With the job being with us all the time.
Well, sometimes, but it stops you getting bored.
Well, I get fed up to here. I mean, people are always either complaining or going on about something trivial.
Yeah, well, it's the time of the year, love. Everybody gets run down in February. It's known for it. Anyway, I'll go make you a nice cup of tea.
Maybe you're right. I wonder if I need one of them over 40s tonics.
Don't you mean over 50s?
That's another thing. My age. It's getting me down. Especially at 2 a.m. in the morning when I'm first at a fatal. And it's raining.
Oh, love, you are low. There's a fella with no worries at all. Stan Ogden.
Yeah, his secret's having a turnip instead of a head.
Hey, that's the shop out there, not in here.
Oh, well, I want to see your husband a bit of private business, you know.
He's discussed all the private business he's doing for one day.
It won't take a minute. I just want the benefit of his copper's mentality.
No, so now
Oh,
if
we
you'll
can
just...
give him a minute, Liz. How, Stan, can my copper's mentality benefit you?
Well, I mean, he must be different to us, mustn't he, with all the ferreting out you do and suspecting for a start, you know.
Half of your minute gone, Stan Ogden.
Go on, Stan.
Well, I was wondering, if you had to put a finger on somebody round here who'd do you a bad turn, a really bad turn, who would you pick on amongst the female population?
Are you asking me that in all seriousness?
Of course I am.
I'm going an errand, Liz. I shouldn't be long.
What did I say?
If I weren't a policeman's wife, I'd mark you, Stan Ogden, for life.
And so I thought I'd make this diary of day-to-day events in the locality and then send it at regular intervals to your Irma. That way I could keep her in touch with everything and everybody. And with me and all, of course.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, I thought so. Mrs. Ogden?
Yeah?
You know, I can't help feeling a bit guilty about my feelings for Irma, with her being married.
Oh, well, they are harmless, though, aren't they, your feelings?
Are they?
Well, I mean, she does live 12,000 miles away.
She does, worse luck. I suppose it's what you might call worshipping from afar.
I've got a guilt complexity and all.
Oh?
Something I done to Stan. Only he don't live now 12,000 miles away. He lives here.
Well, if you're fit, we'll nip down to the town for that meal.
Oh, I'm fit for a meal any time.
I'd say you were just fit, Elsie.
That was supposed to be a compliment, Mr. Piggott. It's the first time I've heard you give anybody one.
You don't know me well enough, obviously.
Oh, but I do, Mr. Piggott. I do.
Well, it's all right for some. Tallest is all right for some.
I beg your pardon, Albert?
Shall we nip into town for a meal? I've never nipped anywhere for a meal. Never nipped anywhere. Full stop. Except for the time that I were in the army, I never travelled south of Manchester. I were one of a generation that were born too soon to enjoy the affluent society, like Tom Finney.
Tom Finney? What's he got to do with anything?
Well, he never earned 200 quid a week as a footballer, did he? And he was a prince compared to Georgie Best. No, like me, we're born too soon, me and Tom.
Would a drink help, Albert?
Look, I'm not a monkey in a cage to be kept quiet with a bag of nuts.
Who said anything about nuts? Oh, he's been muttering about it for ages, you know, something about come the revolution.
And that's what my stomach is going to do if we don't leave now and go and get that meal. Revolt.
Grub, grub, grub. Don't you ever think of anything else?
I definitely would if you worked for me, Elsie.
That's just why I don't, Mr. Piggott.
Well, if it isn't the fairy princess and her handsome knight.
Langton,
Yes?
somebody should push you onto that swing bridge over the canal and swing it. Ta-ta. Me?
Charming.
You asked for it.
Well, they do ponce about a bit, don't they? You know, giggling and brushing bodies and all that malarkey, or hadn't you noticed?
I'd noticed.
Of course you had. Hey, look who's having a liquid dinner. Our crooked competitor. I'm going to enjoy the next 5 minutes. You knock him down and I'll run over him.
Clough, Langdon, what are you having then?
Feeling in a generous mood, are you?
Fairly. A double brandy then.
Aye, same for me. Though I'll not be drinking it. It's my condition, you know.
Is that right then? 2 double brandies?
Of course it's right. Get me one and all. I mean, today is a double brandy day, isn't it?
3 double brandies.
Oh, I've still got athlete's foot, you know.
We find out who gets the contract, don't we?
Oh, that.
Oh, that.
Come on, it's no use you pretending you couldn't care less. That means more to you than it does to me, you being in a smaller way of business.
Well, it's a contradiction, but it's very, very true. The more you have, the more you want.
The less you have, the less you get. You didn't get it then?
No, neither did you.
You must be joking.
I got a tip from the town hall. Roscoe and Pitts. They undercut the pair of us, they did. That's the way the cookie crumbles, Willie.
You are a lucky woman, Miss Nugent. Very lucky. If them two would have got that contract, I'd have pulled that studio of yours down with my bare hands. Still, never let it be said that Willie Piggott doesn't know the meaning of fair play.
Drink, Miss Nugent.
It must be one of 3 women. Annie Walker, Ina Sharbles, or that flipping Betty Turpin. None of them like me.
I wouldn't say that, Chuck. I think you've had it popular with that.
Don't give me a piece of my mind, I'll tell you. Diabolical, that's what it is. Tittle-tatting to the boss. Going against the class.
Yes, Stan.
You've no idea who it might be, have you? See me questioning all 3.
Me?
There's nobody else stood there with a flipping rice pudding in their hand, is there?
Oh, I've heard nothing, Chuck. And I don't know nothing, Chuck. Ooh.
So you see, all the signs are that Providence has intervened in our favour. I mean, Mr. Piggott can hardly lay the success of Roscoe and whoever at my door, can he?
Hardly, though he's a bad un.
Oh, he is, Miss Nugent, a scion of the devil.
Yes, well, let's believe that wickedness has not prevailed for once. That your home's safe, Mrs. Sharples, Ernest's dreams intact, and I'm free of a burden that had become intolerable. It's like all my burdens, for that matter.
It's your fibre, Miss Nugent. It's not strong enough.
There is something sadly lacking, Mrs. Caldwell. I can actually feel trouble, physically. It suffocates me, as though I've got my head stuck under a cushion.
Poor Miss Nugent. The world's too much for her.
Providence. I wonder.
Pardon?
She said Providence had scotched old Piggott. But I wonder. I'm off. You coming or stopping?
Oh, coming. I'm feeling very active today.
Don't you mean nosy?
No, feeling active sounds a nicer way of putting it. I didn't do it with no malice of forethought. Provoked me. Drinking and living a loose life and me thinking you were sweating your guts out. Lying in bed on me tub, fretting and missing the body heat you give off like an old sheep covered in snow. You could forgive me if you'd only stop to think. Tell me, Rod, I'll not do anything like that again. Never. I'm getting too old to live in fear. Well, you do. I mean, rhyme and squabbling might make a change when you're young, but not when you're going on. You don't want change, you just want peace. It's what's called entering the middle years.
What are you rabbiting about?
You what, Chuck?
I don't join in with me ears. You're rabbiting on about something. What was it?
Oh, nothing, just rabbiting.
Something about not living in fear.
Oh, now, what have I got to live in fear of?
Not liking rows and squabbles or something.
No, well, I mean, who does, Chuck, apart from your Siamese fighting fish?
You know you're right.
Eh?
Having a row when he plants seeds for another one, doesn't it?
Do you think so?
He was right, you know. Turn the other cheek. If anybody does you wrong, you just treat them with contempt, utter contempt. If you do anything to them, it brings you down to their level, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, it does, Chuck, it does, yeah.
Ah, right, I'm off.
Off where?
Bed. Touch of the old flu coming on, I think. Some late nights, you know. Tell you what, bring a hot water bottle up when you come up, will you?
Yeah, all right, Chuck. And you're dead right, you know. It's much better to show contempt.
Ah.
Much less painful for me and all.
But you'd left the pub, Mr. Tatlock, you know, gone, vanished, skedaddled.
Yeah, but that didn't give you the right. There was still 2 inches of ale left in that glass. 2 inches that I'd paid for. And with ale the price it is today, that represents a considerable amount of money, and you've no right to chuck it away.
How long did you expect me to keep it for you?
Until I said I didn't want it.
But you might not have been in again for another week.
Well, it doesn't matter, a week or a month.
Oh,
You'd no right to chuck it
You're
away.
just being awkward, like you have been all over dinner
I know,
time.
all over.
Oh, I don't know. There's nothing more awkward than an old fella, except 2 old fellas.
All right, you're insulting me now, are you? First you chuck ale away that I paid for, and then you insult me. You're like all the same folks, you that are in business. Brass comes too easy to you. That's what's the matter, and you don't even know the meaning of the word service. Like everybody else, you're ignorant.
Albert!
What?
What kind of beer was it, that 2 inches in your glass?
Miley.
Half or a pint?
Oh.
Give him a pint, Betty.
More than it gets from me, silly old duffer.
Look, I shall report you to Jack Walker. I was using this pub when you were still cleaning your knees every night. By gum, I reckon they did a bit of cleaning and all.
Do.
Albert, there you are. Let your beer stop your gob, to put it genteelly.
Oh, sop it yourself.
Well, of all
I think you know that Mr. Tatlock's a hobgoblin. I'd love to have seen him these formative years.
Good afternoon, Mr. Tatlock.
You know we're the lost generation, don't you?
How are you, Ina? Show me the generation that weren't lost.
This, the present generation. They've got it made. Or they think they have.
Is he in one of his questioning moods? Questioning the purpose of it all? Well, the only thing I've ever heard Albert Tatlock question her for were virgin birth. Oh, but it comes to us all, Ina. Now, don't you start.
I mean, I hope it will. If it doesn't work. Ah, good afternoon, ladies. Taking the air, are we? The Prince Regent has just left.
I'd like a word with you in there, and we wouldn't say no to a couple of milk stouts.
Do you think she was born with a natural authority? No, just the fizzog for it. Hey, Betty, 2 milk stouts for Loll and Hardy. Come on. Here we are, and we're saying no. And we want a lawyer.
Oh, they are a couple of comics, aren't they, Ina? Depends on your sense of humour. I've been
Well, now,
wondering
it just so happens that we are able to do that go-kart for you,
about
miss.
Roscoe and Pitts getting that contract.
What's to wonder about?
Oh, I'm asking you.
And now you say I'm asking you.
Oh, you can keep that up for ages.
Did you used to play at that, Mrs. Colwell?
Yes, did you?
Yes, did you?
Look, Len Fairclough.
Well, I couldn't think of a better firm to get it than Roscoe and Pitts. They're very good lads.
Well, what about Piggott?
That's a swear word, Mrs. Sharples.
All right, Fairclough and Langton, then.
Well, let's say there were obstacles in the path of them getting it.
Like me, for instance.
Oh, no.
Here, 2 milk stouts. Oh, make that 2 pints as well, and I'm paid. Oh, is it a special occasion or something, Ina? I'm trying to find that out, aren't I?
Just don't kiss us, that's all.
Well, tell me why I should.
We got to thinking, Mrs. Sharples, that it couldn't have been us that got the job, could it? I mean, you would have been out in your ear. And Annie Bishop. And we didn't want Piggott to get it. So Len has a word with Sid Roscoe.
Of Roscoe and Pitts.
The very fella. And we sell him our cheap materials what we were going to use. Which meant they could undercut us.
Mind you, we insisted on that.
You cheeky pair of devils.
And we made a bob or two on the deal. Every one of them pulled up and chucked at 4 wins. I don't know what I wanted to go and put them in for in first place. A dozen of them, a dozen spring cabbages absolutely ruined. And it's not first time either. Last year it were onions, only onions, trampled to a pulp. What the police for if not to stop vandalism?
But we do stop vandalism, Mr. Tetlock.
Not on my allotment, you don't.
But we can't catch every hooligan. For a start, there are more of them than us. And secondly, we ain't psychic. I don't know when I'm at the station that somebody's destroying your cabbages. Of course, the time might come when we can have everybody under surveillance on a great big television set, when we can play God Almighty. But I don't think I'll like it when it does come, nor you, for that matter.
Look, if it'd stop my allotment being vandalised, I'd welcome it. What do I pay rates for except for police protection? I reckon you think more about foreigners than what you do about us. Look, how many dozens of policemen did you take to look after them South Africans? A couple of them would have saved my cabbages.
But the national interest was involved with the South Africans, not to mention the very structure of the law itself.
National interest, me foot, it never did out for me. Never at all, except save me being shot and gave me a comic little pension. It never sent me to a university. I never had any maternity benefit from it. No, all I got were a pair of false teeth.
Well, that's hardly my fault, is it,
Oh,
Mr.
the lot of you said the same.
What's he belly aching about?
Oh, just about everything, but particularly the police force.
Oh, he's been in a queer mood all day, love. He's plagued me to death in the
Well, he's
road,
been plaguing the death out of me, as you put it, Liz, in my own home.
Oh, look, Cyril, you're not going to let an old fool like that upset you, are you?
Yeah, but he did come here to let off steam, not to Len Fairclough's or Ken Barlow's, but here, to Muggins, whom he doesn't even respect, like a lot of folk. Do you know how they view coppers? As a necessary evil, like a shower of rain? Well, I'm more than a bit fed up of being about as popular as a wet Monday.
Well, listen, love, if you feel like that, I mean, you can always leave the force. Now you've nearly done your 25.
I know, and I'm considering doing just that.
Well, here's to you then, with my sincere thanks.
And I know who it is who's trying to hide behind that pine pot.
Hello, Elsie. What are you having?
I'll get him then.
Didn't you hear me ask?
Yes, all right, Len.
I'll have a gin and tonic, please.
Light ale, please.
Gin and tonic latte, I'll make it large.
What are we celebrating, anyway?
Failure, strangely enough.
Oh, we're celebrating success.
Oh, aye? What about?
It's the best week so far in the salon.
Oh, I thought you might have been celebrating something else.
Such as?
Well, let's say, togetherness.
Well, it depends what you mean by togetherness, doesn't it, Ray?
Oh, I think you both know what I mean. You're old enough. Wouldn't you say so, Mr. Fairclough?
One gin and tonic, one light ale. I think I'll go and sit down now, man. I've been on my feet all day.
Yes, me too.
Did I, say something?
You know what you are, Ray Langton?
A mixer?
Yeah.
Aye, I know, but... Well, today should have been a better day than it has been, and... Well, I've got to get my fun somehow.
Seems silly to get embarrassed when people talk about us like that. I suppose it was 'cause Len was there.
I'm not embarrassed.
Aren't you?
No, I enjoy it. Our togetherness.
What do you mean when you say our togetherness, Alan?
Things just exactly as they are now.
Serves me right for asking, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
You two can off it for a start. Because I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't even want to see anybody. You can keep your neighbours and the rest of the rotten world. They're not geared up to the likes of me.
So you think it's to the road round, Albert Tatlock? It's the likes of you that's not geared up to the world.
And there's another thing. I can do without women. Especially sarcastic, no-old women. And I'll tell you something else as well.
Go on.
Now and again, we all ought to resist progress.
Whatever that means.
I think what Mr. Tatlock's trying to say, that he's
dropped out.
Aye, and he means sitting all by the sound of him.
Well, I wish he'd mentioned it to me. I might have joined him.
Roses are red, violets are blue. Hey, it makes you rather think these things up, doesn't it?
Sugar is sweet, and so are you. And it's from...
One who worships you from afar.
Even money to one who worships you from behind the bar.
No, Len. We can cancel Jack out on 2 counts. First, it would be altering the habits of a lifetime to send me a valentine. And second, he would be far too embarrassed to go into a shop and ask for one.
Maybe it was your Joni that got it for him. He's still in Derby, isn't he?
Hey, yes. The postmark's a bit blurred, isn't it?
Totally blurred, I'd say.
Have you got anybody worshipping you from Timbuktu?
Well, not that springs to mind immediately. But of course, my circle of friends encompasses the globe.
She puts things well, doesn't she? I've never heard anybody command English words like Mrs...
Mr. Crestwell?
Yes, well, I mean, I've never heard him speak. That fella from the brewery that you shot off with to Mallorca, and we all thought that you'd left Mr...
I know what you all thought, and you all know how wrong you turned out to be, don't you?
It's your sink pipe that's blocked, isn't it?
Yes, please, Len, if you do it first.
Hey, you're Mr. Forsyth Jones.
Of course.
Forsyth who?
Oh, well, it's somebody I knew some years ago. Public school, of course, you know, independent means. Sported rather dashing cravats. I'm afraid, in my own little way, I rather turned his poor head.
Oh, well, that's it then, isn't it, Mr. Forsyth Saga?
Forsyth Jones?
Oh, well, listen, anybody that sends you an unsigned card, always follow up to see that it's been received. Mark my words, there'll be a follow-up.
What do you mean?
That's what I call timing.
Hello, Emma Walker. Oh. Same as yesterday and the day before. 1 dozen meat and potato, 2 dozen steak and kidney, 1 dozen cheese and onion, and 1 very good morning to you.
Mr. Tatlock! It's all right, Mr. Tatlock. It's only me, Bernard. Butler. What are you doing?
No, not what am I doing, Squire. What are you doing?
Hey?
Because they can always take you in as a voluntary patient these days, you know.
Oh, you don't have to start that compos mentis thing with me, Mr. Barlow. No, it's Mr. Tatlock, you see. He's a nippy. He's dropped out of society.
Yeah, but then again, in your case, they might just take you in whether you like it or not. You'll have a lovely little ride in a nice little yellow van.
See me wet, see me dry.
Look, Bernard, Uncle Albert's been dropping out of society since before hippies are bald-headed babies. You see, apart from being the nicest chap in the world, he's also the meanest, grumpiest, surliest, mingiest little moaner I've ever had the pleasure of meeting.
Hey, I've marmalised men into mincemeat for less than that.
Oh? Hey, what's all this malarkey about you dropping out of society? Who you got up there then? Yoko Ono?
That's done it. Apart from me dropping out, you're disinherited.
You're going to drop out of that window if you're not careful.
Oh, heck.
Hear my song, Violetta.
Shut up, Sandra.
Shut up yourself. Still rejecting society, Mr. Tatlock?
Only your society of greed and selfishness.
Mao, Mao, Mao Zedong, Mao,
I told
Mao,
you to shut
Mao
up, Sandra.
Look, 1 day without a drink and 1 day without dinner, and he'll drop right back into society. Come on, Bernard. Yeah,
Ken?
Hi. Hey, it's Bill, isn't it? Bill Gregory. My God, it must be, what, 7 years at least?
Yeah, quite a few drinks to catch up on, eh? Jack and Annie Walker still mind hosting?
Yeah?
Maybe see you later then, eh?
Right. That's Bill Gregory, an old friend of Elsie Tanner's.
Well, what's he doing round here?
Could be on his way back home. Where's you live? Glasgow.
Sugar is sweet, and so are you.
I'm on saccharine myself.
Well, of course, saccharine is sweet, and so are you. Might be all right for a valentine for a member of the Weight Watchers Club. But as a traditionalist, I prefer...
I bet that's him, Mr. Cube.
Hello, Rose return. Oh. Hello, Jack, love, how are you?
Whoa up there, me darling, whoa up. Mr. Tatlock, I'd like a bit of advice about the world of greed and selfishness. Oh, what? There you are, facilitations here.
Felicitations.
Oh, is it now? You know, me old dad used to drum it into me. Tommy, me boy, he used to say, if ever you get the chance, sit at the feet of a man of learning.
Yeah, well, what do you want?
Oh, to meet a man who's had enough guts to turn his back on this rat race of ours. A man who was seen through all the grabbing and the grafting in pursuit of worldly possessions. Tell me, is it true what they say about possessions?
Say what about them?
Oh, that they don't bring man one true grain of happiness, and that he'd be better off without them.
Now look, my place is chock full of stuff I don't need. Just cluttering the place up, that's its only purpose.
Which is why my humble services and this empty cart of mine have been placed at your disposal, free of charge.
Yeah, well look, I don't want you or your flaming empty cart.
No, of course not. Sure, it's only out of admiration for you, as a philosopher and oracle of the affluent society, that I'm willing to take away all the degrading and corrupting possessions in your house for nothing.
Oh!
Ah, you miserable old skinflint.
He's still at it, the silly old so-and-so. You're Val still in Glasgow?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gum, she'll be talking Scotch by the time she gets back.
Valerie's mother hasn't been keeping too well, Ina. That's why she's gone to Glasgow.
At the risk of overtaxing your memory, I was with you when Val told us why she was going to Glasgow. Or to be more precise, you were with me.
Anyway,
Anyway, what?
he has just rejected the whole of mankind.
He's dropped out.
Dropped out my foot. He's playing silly beggars with his constitution. And when you do that at his age, you're more liable to drop dead than drop out.
I mean, it's not that I've not been going on at him myself. I have. I've plagued him for days.
Well, if your Cyril's got a hankering to hang up his helmet after all these years, why not go ahead with it? Yes. He's been bobbying a long time, you know, Betty.
I know, but you see, he can retire in 5 years' time with 2/3 pay.
Well, let's see, you get half-time pay. He gets half pay now if he retires at 55. Half pay at 55, a spare-time job. Can't be bad, Betty.
Yes, but there's not all that many jobs going for ex-policemen and, well, these security jobs aren't very plentiful.
There's none at all going for ex-plumbers, love. And they don't get half pension either.
Hello, Mr. Hard. I haven't seen much of you recently.
Good morning, Mrs. Walker. It's a lock of hair, Mrs. Walker. In fact, it's a lock of green hair. And as a matter of fact, it's a lock of your hair. It's been treated with that particular hair lacquer that's been the root of so much trouble. And talking about roots, Mrs. Walker, I would advise that in future you do mention to your hairdresser that in fact your hair has been bleached. Good morning, Mrs. Walker.
Lock of hair could have been anybody's. Morning, ladies.
Good morning. I hear you've been giving comfort to the oldest hippie in the world.
Ah, sure, it's a great big money-grabbing world, Mrs. Sharples. And if old Tatlock wants to opt out, sure, what's wrong with that?
I see. Nowadays we render everything unto Caesar, do we?
Who?
Oh, never mind, it's a long story.
Oh.
What Mrs. Sharples means is that men have always scrambled for gold, only to discover that gold cannot buy those things which cannot be bought. Render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God.
If you see a man in woe, walk right up and say hello. Say hello, and how are you? And how's the world using you?
Well, your heart's in the right place, but can never quite fathom out where your mind's wandering to.
Well, it's what you were just saying, Ina, about Julius Caesar's brother. I remember you found him once unconscious at the foot of his staircase.
Mr. Tatlock?
No, Julius Caesar's brother.
He can't cook, you know. I don't think Mr. Tatlock could cook boiling water.
I wonder if I might venture a suggestion. It seems to me that perhaps Mr. Tatlock could be persuaded to embrace life again if he were approached by his peers.
I can't call any peers to mind, Ina. His mother was annealed, I could swear to that. Oh, and didn't his auntie marry one of the Bardsleys out of Rifle Street?
No, I don't mean that. I mean that he would be more inclined to listen to you or to Mrs. Sharples rather than to someone, well, much younger. Otherwise, of course, I would have already gone myself.
Now, where are you scooting off to?
Mr. Tatlock's. I would rather attempt and fail than fail to attempt.
Good morning.
Morning. Very formal this morning, aren't we?
What do you think of that?
Oh, very pretty.
How do you think Mrs. Walker would look if the whole of her crowning glory was that colour? As it would be if we'd used that particular cheap hair lacquer on her hair.
You must be joking.
No, I'm not joking. I've just showed it to Mrs. Walker. It scared the pants off her. Never mind, no harm done. As long as we've learnt our lesson.
Oh, we have, sir. Honest, sir. Would you like a cup of tea?
Thank you very much.
Do sit down. We've got the whole house to ourselves.
Auntie Elsie, I'm home.
Or at least we had.
When I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things.
I'll do you a tater pie and apple dumplings for your dinner.
Now look, if you want to bandy Bible with me, Enid Sharples, try this on for size. And let your women keep silent. Corinthians.
Well, all I want to establish is why you're acting like a big daft Jessie.
Yes, well, what I'm doing's my own concern.
Aye, it's your modesty getting the better of you again, isn't it?
It's got no to do with me modest, but it at all. It's to do with society it is today. Sick and selfish. And you can't see it because your mind's blinded with boggling up bingo cards every night.
Mrs. Pickering won the snowball on Tuesday.
Oh, aye, how much?
£42.
They played brass bands when we come marching home in 1918. They promised us homes fit for heroes to live in. Every man an acre and a cow. Well, my home's just as it were. My cow never came, they pinched me allotment, and there isn't a brass band between here and Bellevue worth bending your ear to. No, it's all self today. Everything's for number one.
Well, what do you think me and Minnie Colwell are doing here, then?
You're wasting your breath and you're wasting my time.
Good morning, Bernard. Not lunching at home today?
No, I don't think I'm wanted.
Oh, dear. What can I get you?
I'm just making my mind up, thanks.
I see.
Mind you, I'm the type that doesn't like to talk about all the acts of Christian charity that I've performed. I'm what you might call a silent Samaritan.
I'm not giving you a bottle of rum.
I should only to get old Tatlock out of the house.
No.
When I think of all the poor sinners that I've plucked off street corners and rescued from them dens of vice. Hey, how about a half? Maybe a half a bottle would do the trick just as dandy.
Well, any luck? He's serious, you know. I said he was all along. Hey, do you think Mr. Turpin could do something for us?
Perhaps a quarter of a bottle could do something.
I think that's a very good suggestion, Bernard. Mr. Turpin probably knows a lot about those kind of things.
Right, well, I'll go see if I can find him then.
Well, it's as good a rule as any. If at first you don't succeed, call the police.
What was the old song? A policeman's lot is not a happy one?
Oh, I don't know, Mrs. Walker. I mean, when it comes to dealing with people, Cyril's in his element. It's the paperwork first and the people second that grinds him down.
Oh, hello, Bill. What can I get you? What do you like?
Scotch.
Scotch.
Something up?
All right, double.
Mrs. Tanner been in yet?
Water.
No.
If I'm out of the bar when she does come in, let me know.
Of course, I should have known in a flash when I last saw you, July 1962, because the night you left was the night that Val and I got engaged. My goodness, a lot of water's passed into the nappies since then. Mind if I ask you something?
CPO.
3 of the most dreaded words in Weatherfield.
Chief Petty Officer?
Compulsory purchase order.
Do you mind if I ask you something?
No.
You ever get the feeling you're being talked about?
And, as we're all well aware, there is one subject that Mrs. Tanner never approaches half-heartedly.
Lord Nelson. She was going out with him, was she?
Oh, it seemed they were all set to get married. Well, that's what I thought.
Something happened.
His wife turned up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Photo finish.
Oh, never come between the Navy and its tipple, Mrs. Walker.
Go on, you were first.
Well, just cigarettes, please. 20 tipped.
Why, were you Royal Navy?
Yes, minesweepers and a bit of convoy duty towards the end.
I think I ought to effect introductions. Mr. Gregory, Mr. Howard.
Bill Gregory.
Alan Howard. Well, I'm sorry I can't stick around, but I'm in a bit of a hurry some other time.
Yeah, why not?
I'll get it, Mrs. Walker. It's no business of mine, I know. But I can't help wondering what brings Mr. Gregory back to Coronation Street.
Oh, bit of time to spare and he had to see a few old faces.
Well, he met Kenneth Barlow, I saw, and of course Len's still around, Mr. Tatlock. Mrs. Sharples is still going strong. Jack's in Derby for a day or two.
Oh, yeah.
And Elsie, of course.
Oh, how is she?
Oh, much the same. Of course, you'll have heard she got married.
It's for you, Mrs. Walker, on the phone. Oh, and I'm just off to my dinner.
Excuse me.
What I want to know is, why has he come back?
You no more want to know than I do. He's come back to see Elsie Tanner. Why he's come back, we can answer. What he's come back to see her for is the real question.
Perhaps his love has haunted him down the years, finally drawing him back
We
to the
saw
sea.
that down at the Luxie about a month ago.
Oh, well, perhaps he's divorced his wife or something like that.
There is nothing else like that. Mind you, I shouldn't think that Elsie Tanner's exactly overjoyed that he's come back. Not while she's doing her dance of the Seven Veils for that Howard fella.
Now, look here, laddie. Your concern for Mr. Tatlock does you credit, but I can't act on concern alone.
Well, perhaps you could just talk to him, love. I mean, I've always maintained you've got away with you when you're in your stride.
Well, what do you want me to talk to him about? It's his house. Provided he conducts his affairs within the framework of the law, he can enjoy as much privacy as he wants.
Not quite sure whether you mean you can't do anything or you won't do anything.
I thought I'd just explained that.
Oh, I wish I'd have to give you the benefit of the doubt and assume that you can't do anything. Still, you can't doesn't mean we can't.
You once told me that you joined the force to help people, not to arrest them.
Oh, he'll come out. He'll have to come out to get food.
Of course, when I say I'm on your side, I don't really know what I'm talking about. It's just a feeling.
Ah, well, that's all you need. That's what it starts with, a feeling. You see, love, all the clevers in the world, they think they can cure all its ills by having a bit of a change here and a bit of a change there, bringing in new laws every now and then. They think with a bit of juggling and a bit of conjuring and a heck of a lot of praying that things will sort itself out and all come right in the end. But it doesn't work that wrong. And they've been at it for over 100 years. Look, take Charles Dickens. He knew. Charles Dickens knew. Mind, he didn't suggest out concrete, but he always had a feeling that there was something wrong.
What?
Society, old blooming society, that's what's wrong. They only stop messing about and get on with it because it wants changing from top to bottom, from A to Z.
How do you mean?
Well, the precise dealings haven't been worked out yet, but the basics are still there. It's society, you see.
It wants changing.
Yeah, you see? That's what it starts with. A bit of feeling, you're all right there, eh? How old would you say I were? Well, go on, have a guess.
74?
Oh. And how many generations would you think there were between you and me? About a couple? Well, they were not like that when I was a lad. There were only people. Young people and old people. Not like it is today. Like teenagers today, they don't even live at home. But it's all right being on your own when you're young, but when your generation are old age pensioners, it's not so good, then.
Well, when all your friends are the same age, you got lots in common.
No, it's the teenagers that have got things in common, love, and it's all based on the most important thing of all. They've got lives and futures that they haven't lived. That's what they've got in common, hopes and ambitions. Nobody to say they won't achieve them. Now, my generation, we've got a past in common, but all pasts are different. And generally speaking, you know, when you come to think about it, we got nothing in common at all.
Tell you what, best way for me to bridge the generation gap is to keep bringing the grub round. You seem to be enjoying that.
I've had worse.
Hello then, Alan in?
No.
Oh, well, when you see him, will you do me a favour? Will you tell him 8 o'clock prompt tonight? Otherwise his call on the cob will have dropped off the cob. 8 o'clock, please.
8 o'clock, no later.
Thanks.
You're seeing a lot of him lately.
Yeah. Nights, mostly.
Sure. Dinner for two touch, candlelight, corn on the cob.
Do you mind?
Mind? Not in the least, darling.
Why are you so bothered about me seeing
I'm
him so
not
much?
bothered, I just made an observation.
OK. 8 o'clock, please.
Sorry, darling. Good afternoon, Leonard. Sorry for popping in like this unexpected, like, but I thought you might like to look at a list of cut price stuff that I've got in my hands. It's your kind of material, I think.
What's selling?
No, swapping. You know, there's a fair amount of scrap metal in that yard of yours.
You mean you want to give me this lot if I give you mine?
Aye.
Come in!
Hello, Lynn.
For crying out loud, Bill Gregory!
Bit belated, I'm afraid, but congratulations. The marriage. You and Elsie, I heard about it to the Rovers.
The marriage? Me and Elsie?
Yeah, Annie Walker let it drop so that Elsie got married.
Not to me, mate.
Not you? Who then?
Hey, this is going to take about a fortnight.
Oh, well, in that case, I won't wait. Be good to pair to you.
Elsie and me married. Fancy you getting that into your head. Look, I'll tell you all about it over a pint.
Yeah.
I can't get an answer at all, Bernard.
Well, what do you think, then?
All right. Look, all you've got to do is ignore him. I've told you the one thing he can't take is being ignored.
No, it's Mr. Tatlock that's ignoring us.
That's very true.
When you're ready.
Right, I'm just coming now.
We haven't changed round here, you know.
Are you all right, Mrs. Walker?
Oh, yes, thank you, dear. Remember my mentioning of Mr. Forsyth Jones? He obviously didn't send it.
How did you know that?
Well, I did.
You phoned him. It's that Valentine's card. I'll never send you another.
I just want to get to the bottom of it.
A lad scotch and a pint, please.
There may be circumstances now, Mr. Turpin. We haven't heard a sound from Mr. Tatlock's house for quite a while.
All right, Mrs. Corwell, all right. If he's not out by tomorrow, I'll do something about it.
Has that friend of yours been to see Elsie Tanner yet?
Bill Gregory.
Oh, I haven't the faintest idea, no.
What's he come for? I don't mean the waffle, I mean the real reason.
I don't know. And you don't ask questions like that upon remove. You ask him direct. He's sitting over there.
Oh, he said that, did he? Ah. Well, that's your average ordinary policeman for you. Just pawns, that's what they are. Desperately trying to keep society on an even keel.
His words were, if you're not out of it by tomorrow, he'd do something about it.
Oh, well, I'm not going to sit here and let him do something. No, I'll fight. I'll barricade. I'll cob bricks at him. I'll cob anything I can lay my hands on. I've got a few plans I can fall back on, you know. I've been expecting something like this, and it's not the first time I've fought to the last, you know.
There's only one thing to bring me back to this street, just one thing, Mrs. Sharples.
I wouldn't have thought anybody was in two minds about that.
Good. Because this time I'm not leaving without her.
It's 24 hours now since he's been in there, Mrs. Sharples. Hey, how about smoking him out?
Have you ever thought of changing places with that donkey of yours? How's the shoulder?
Lummin' sore.
It would be. They made doors to last when they put these houses up.
I found that out when I charged it last night.
Right, well, here you get logged. I didn't know it was you that was banging on the back door. Look, I've got the shopping list ready.
Information from the front, Mr. Tatlock. I were right. They are bringing the police into
are
it.
they?
Yeah, the opposition.
Right, well, even if they come in squad cars, they get no change out of me.
Oh, it's not official, like, only Sergeant Turpin.
Oh, sure.
About 2 o'clock, I reckon.
Right, well, then I'll be ready for them. They won't get me out.
And I'll be here if you need any help.
Oh, I didn't know you were that keen on dropouts.
Depends if they're genuine. They come in 2 sorts, the lazy, work shy, and then with a touch of independence.
Oh, I see, and it's my spirit of independence that you admire, eh?
Sympathetic to the cause, Mr. Tatlock. I like a fighter.
Well, I've had a fair share of that in my time and all, you know. Look, that's when me and some lads were bogged down there on that there ridge.
Where were that?
That were on Somme. You know, I like browsing through this history of the Great War.
Looks muddy.
Well, we were up to the knees in slime there.
And how'd you get about in that?
Well, many a time we were days on end and we didn't. Then other times we were back and forwards, just like a yo-yo. Do you know, I heard of one building, a cafe it were, it changed hands 11 times in one day. Of course, behind that were in French sector, up the Arras Road. Did you know that today is the anniversary of the German counter-attack on the Somme in 1917?
Can't say I did.
Yes, I've just been refreshing my memory about it. Look, here's what Haig had to say on the battle. The enemy's advancing waves came under the concerted fire of our artillery and machine guns, and were driven back in disorder with exceedingly heavy losses.
And who were Egg?
Oh, wait, you have got a lot to learn, haven't you, lass?
I'm a good listener.
Are you? Well then, there's plenty of interesting facts, you know, real fascinating they are. For instance, did you know that poison gas was first used in 1915? Yeah, the Germans released it at the Second Battle of Ypres. And quarters right on the up they did and all. Any road they started it, so then we had to go. You know, I remember once we sent it over and wind changed and blew it back on us. Look, I'll tell you what, go and put kettle on it. Oh, heck no, that's no good, I've run out of tea.
I'll go and get some.
Right, then we'll have a cuppa and we'll have a long chat, eh?
Won't be long.
Right, love.
Is this all you want?
Aye. Oh, I say, while you're behind the enemy lines, just find out what tactics they're using, will you?
Roger and out.
What do you think this is, a mess deck?
Look, you served in the Navy with Bill Gregory. He and I get on well enough together. I just wondered why he doesn't move in here while he's on leave.
Maybe he doesn't want to.
What shall I ask him?
I wouldn't bother.
Well, it's your house.
My house, shipmate.
Yeah.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
Thought for the day. The reduced prices of pensioners in your shop.
We do, Mrs. Sharples. Ask Mrs. Walker about it.
Ask who?
I thought you'd come gunning for me for a moment.
I did come to see you. That was an afterthought.
No. Oh, Tatlock. Oh, you can't drag the council in on that.
Bill Gregory.
He's getting very popular. He's our chief petty officer, isn't he?
You know why he's here?
Didn't he tell you last night?
Thought I'd like to hear what you've got to say.
Looking up old friends. Perhaps the soot and the cobbles are a change from those exotic ports.
He's come with one intention. Elsie Tanner. That's what's brought him back, nothing else. And this time he's determined. Well?
Well, what?
Well, it's no use cracking on you're not interested.
What are you telling me all this for?
Thought you ought to know, that's
I
all.
think I know somebody else who might be more interested.
I'll leave that to you.
One who worships you from afar.
Dead romantic.
It does wonders for one's ego, you know, to have a secret admirer.
And you have no idea who fancies you?
You know, fancies is hardly a poetic illusion, dear. Admires, perhaps?
Same thing. I mean, any fella who lashes out a few bob on them hearts and cupids after summit.
You know, Sandra, you and I live in the same age, but on different planes.
Why?
Intriguing, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I've eliminated most of my male acquaintances, and I think I now know the identity. A director of the brewery, no less. You didn't receive a Valentine, did you, dear?
Lads I know'd sooner buy a bag of chips.
Quite. Hello. Could I speak to Mr. Cresswell, please? Mrs. Walker? Hello, Douglas. It's Anne. Anne Walker. The Rover's return. Of course. Douglas, I just wanted to thank you for your recent communication. You didn't? Oh, my mistake. Oh, no, it wasn't important. Yes, we're both quite well, thank you. Goodbye, Douglas.
Another blanket?
I can only conclude it's a stranger. But judging by the handwriting, it's an elegant one. That handwriting certainly points to elegance.
Have you found good digs while you're visiting?
Whoa, so-so, down by the station.
Ah, it's a bit noisy back of the tracks. You might as well keep with us. We've got a spare bunk. We can do a bit of lamp swinging, can't we? Tell us how you braved the Russian convoys. Hey, Grego.
Well, thanks very much, Lynn. Yeah, great. Of course, I'll share expenses.
Oh, the food's very good. Straight from the crate.
You're being dilatory.
Look, my uncle-in-law, Albert, thrives on attention. You know that. The more he gets, the more it encourages him. So the best thing we can do is ignore him, take no action at all.
Well, I think you're wrong.
And I do, Kenneth.
All right, what do you propose?
I'm responsible for asking the police to intervene.
Before the bobbies ever go, I think you ought to make a last-ditch attempt to get him out. He is family.
Oh, don't I know it. All right, but don't expect any results, because that side of our family is noted for its stubbornness.
Mrs., can I have a small Irish, please?
You don't mind copper, do you? Only an old woman gave them to me for shifting her washhouse boiler. Hey, do you see that, mate? That is a passport.
Oh, looks more like a valentine to me.
Oh, it is. And I should know. Didn't I send it?
Eh?
That is a passport to free drinks and all. That's what that is.
Just a minute. Let me recap. Do you mean to say that you have sent a valentine to Annie Walker?
Sure I did. Butter them up, you know. They like buttering. And then whenever I'm skint, she'd remember my little romantic gesture and slip me the odd buck-sheet pint.
Does she know that you sent it?
Oh, no, of course not. Not yet. Better to keep her guessing, you know. They like mysteries, they do. It adds spice to their life. You know what I mean? Oh, ta.
Right, peas processed. That's a lot. Ta-ra. Thank you.
Oh, good day. Can you come quick? There's trouble on down at Salon. There's a big emergency, a big panic.
Somebody having twins in front of the dryer?
No, it's hot water. It's all coming out cold. And with Mrs. Barlow away, I thought you might know something about that immersion thing. The shop's full of folk. Come on.
You just know it on my day off.
It could be thermostat.
Well, that leaves me none the wiser. Oh, come on, we'll go round to Len's. We'll try it. Hey, Bernard!
What?
Come on, give us a hand with this. You can manage that, can't you? A big lad now, you know. Oh, stop grumbling.
Hello, you're early. I haven't got the kettle on yet.
Oh, I got a lift. Panda was coming this way. Any news on Albert Tetlock?
Still holding out the daft apeth.
As you pointed out, I got to do something about it.
Cyril, love, I've had second thoughts.
You don't want me to interfere?
No. Yes. Well, I mean, not personally. I mean, couldn't you call in the police officially?
And it was you who argued about why I joined the force.
Yeah, no, love, but I mean, working on your own, wouldn't it be like sticking your neck out?
Oh, I can't see much danger.
But it's a responsibility.
It's one I can face, love. It's a challenge, like. A problem's cropped up in the community I live in. I can do something about it. Show a bit of initiative.
I still think you should leave it to the station.
Nah, they got enough paperwork to be going on without me adding to it. Now, leave it to me, love. I'll sort this one out. It's about time the kettle was on, isn't it?
Oh, yes,
Well, it's blooming heavy,
Well,
you know.
most of them are
This
your
shoulder-
calories anyway. You're a growing lad, you know. Len, your body's wanting.
You get your
Don't
treacle
muck
done.
about that. I got everything. Len, I came... is wanted at the salon.
Hello, Elsie.
We're in a bit of a hurry, so...
Glenn was here. He had to go out.
I'll go round to the yard.
Elsie?
I, still live next door, you know.
When will you be home?
In about half an hour.
I see you then.
All right.
Seems like only yesterday.
Must be all of 7 years.
Nearly 9.
Yes. Must be that at least.
And, how's your hot water, then?
Oh, it's flowing now, thanks.
Oh, got you in a bit of a tizzy, didn't it?
Aye, well, with 2 senior members at staff away, I were left in charge. Very worrying that I don't reckon I were cut out a bit boss, you know.
Oh, never mind, Chuck. Elsie will be round this afternoon to give you a helping hand.
No, I don't think she will. She's got a lot to occupy her, you know. She's just met an old friend.
She, is it?
Is something bothering you, Mr. Deacon? Because we do our best to set a high standard.
Yeah, I wonder. You don't get much recognition, I bet. Like, no thanks, no compliments. Well, maybe 1 or 2 come your way through the post. Well, like, from your customers.
And some we could do without.
Yeah, of course, there's bound to be some who kind of push you on a pedestal. There must be a special relationship between you on that side of the bar and, well,
Yes, well, I
worship...
fail to see that it's any business of yours.
Well, what about windows? They break easy in the doors. You could try windows.
Or you could use a battering ram, Mr. Turpin.
Everybody's keen to ask a policeman's help. Then they shower him with advice on how to go about it.
Well, you've got to get in somehow.
Not by smashing down doors or windows like on the telly. You realise that's an invitation to vandals?
Well, I can't see any other way.
Now, you do something like that, lad, and I'll drop on you for attempted breaking and entering, and nobody else had better try it neither. I got my own methods, lad. Leave it to me.
Half an hour on the dot.
Sit down, Bill.
I'm glad to find you still around, Elsie. Looking better than ever.
I had the shock of my life when I saw you walk out of Len's kitchen.
I've been knocking on your door all morning.
Oh, I was in town shopping.
I sent you a letter. You didn't reply.
I never got any letter, Bill.
Oh. Good. Well, if you had got it and you hadn't bothered to reply, it would mean that, well, let's say that I've been wanting to see you very much.
You're looking very well.
Well, what sailor on leave doesn't? After being cooped up, we're raring to go. Where do you fancy going tonight?
Are we going anywhere tonight?
Just say the word, Elsie. I've noticed a lot of bright new lights in the city centre.
Well, there are some nice new places, yes.
Well, how about a conducted tour, then?
Okay, for old time's sake.
Elsie, oh, hello.
Hello.
You finished unpacking?
Yeah, all unpacked.
Good. Well, we'll get used to the Len's fry-ups in a couple of days.
Yeah, well, I'm a dab hand at curries.
Good. Well, it's nice to have you aboard. Mrs. Tanner, I understand Bernard's in a flap. Is there something wrong down at the shop?
Just the hot water system. I believe it's all right now.
So I don't have to go down there?
I shouldn't think so, no.
Well, perhaps I'll call in anyway, just to let them know where I'm going to be. Look, if you're all settled in, what about a tot?
Hey? Yeah, sure.
Unless the Navy's officially on orange juice now.
Why do you think I'm retiring? A threat like that can be very disturbing.
Good. Come on, then. I warn you, it's only 70 proof down at the road.
Well, suits me. See you tonight.
Right, now's our chance. I'll just back me donkey up against the door, tickle her in a certain way, and she'll kick the door in a treat.
Try backing it into your head, Tommy. I said I had me methods. Right, let's be having you. You've been invaded. Oh, I see. An accomplice, eh?
A typical sneaky trick, that. A definite intrusion on my privacy.
I've told you often enough about leaving your key in that old-fashioned lock. You always do.
I know, you warn me about burglars, but not about the law.
Ah, now you see how easy it is. I've done you a favour.
Yeah, well, I don't want any favours off you. Thank you very much.
And where do you come into this?
I've been fetching Mr. Tatlock's food. What's wrong with that?
Nothing. Even dropouts have to eat. That's the trouble, ain't it, Albert? You've still got to rely on others.
Yeah, well, I'll do what I want. It's my right.
At your age, you've got no such right. Puts too much worry on the rest of the street.
Society won't let him, then?
Oh, that's a familiar argument, love. How long do you think he'd survive if everybody dropped out? Choose to do what he's doing. I mean, everybody. He'd have no eat, light, food, nothing. Is that the kind of society you want?
Oh, rubbish. Look, I've got a good mind to complain to your superior about your behaviour.
You ought to thank me for avoiding official intervention. I'll tell your friends they can come in now. They are your friends, Albert.
Hey, hang on a minute. Did you say folks were worried about me?
Of course they are.
Yeah, so they should be.
Dear, this lid's a bit stuck.
I'll do it.
No, I can manage if you can just get me that off. Mind it's not.
How's that?
Hey, I say, I hope you don't mind me asking, but who was that fellow we saw at Len's this morning?
Oh, just a fella.
Oh, I see.
Takes more than perfume to hold a man.
No good. The bulb's gone. Haven't got a spare one with you, have you?
Oh, yes, I never move out of the house without a handbag full of electric light bulbs. We're having a right time, aren't we?
What does it take to stop you laughing?
Oh, a lot more than this. Bill.
What?
Do you know something?
Yeah, we're stuck in the country, miles from anywhere.
Yeah, that's it. We're stuck in the country, miles from anywhere. And I'm having a better time than you now than I would be stuck in a pub in front of a couple of double gins.
Well, that's nice to know.
I meant it, you know. We'll never get home if you stand here gawping at one another.
Look, let me tell you something. If I could just stand here gawping at you like this, I never want to go home. Here, light a match for me, will you? I'd feel a lot better if I knew what I was looking for in this place.
Don't we have adverts for taxis and garages and things in here? More fingers and thumbs.
Hey, up, there's a car coming. Get your head down here quickly and see if the headlights will do it. Must be 1798, that's it.
Can I lift my head up now?
Yeah.
I wonder what he thought we were doing.
Who?
That driver.
Or whatever it was we weren't doing.
Just a fella.
That's my lot. I can't keep up with you, Sublease.
Do you remember that boozer at the back of Birkenhead Dock?
Yeah, we had a few farewell bevies there.
Treated like lords we were. I always remember the kids touching our collars for luck.
Yeah. Maybe we were lucky.
Yeah, when you think of it.
Well, you're a fine pair of mates, starting without me.
Plenty to go around.
You were hitting it off rather well with Elsie Tanner when I called around there earlier.
Old friends.
Oh.
Yeah, matter of fact, I'm taking you out tonight.
I don't think you two realise it, but in the blue corner we have Alan Howard. In the red corner, William Gregory.
What are you talking about?
You're both after Elsie Tanner. Don't ask me to referee.
Oh, I'm proud of you, Cyril. I have my doubts, you know, that you were doing right, but I thought you handled it very, very well.
Oh, only doing my duty, Liz.
Yes, and you did get Mr. Tatlock out into the fresh air. And even if he won't admit it, I mean, he must be pleased.
Oh, he didn't sound all that pleased. Grateful, eh?
Well, he didn't want to lose face, love. And when he thinks about it, he'll realise that it was all for the best.
Ah, well, I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, well, he got all that attention. Perhaps that was one of his motives.
Ah.
And he couldn't go on indefinitely, could he? I mean, he did what he wanted to, and you gave him a way out of his problem. One day, love, he'll thank you.
I've had a few pats on my back from other folk.
Oh, you deserve it, love.
What's your bacon like this week?
Oh, lean, tasty, fresh.
Expensive. Give me 2 slices.
Right.
No, not that. Haven't you got any better?
Well, you need a bit of fat, you know, to give it flavour.
What was that?
Right. My husband did very well today, Mrs. Sharples, didn't he?
I suppose so.
I was just saying that one day Mr. Tatlock will thank him.
Well, you've got another think coming. We know him better than you do. He'd be scheming to it back at your Cyril. Hey, don't pick them too thick.
You know, you shouldn't be drinking that stuff.
Pineapple juice, big brother.
Oh.
Mind, I could do with something stronger. I'm more worried than Ray is about tomorrow.
I thought it was just a routine hospital visit.
Not this time. Special. Doctor says it's a crucial checkup. Special tests.
I wouldn't worry too much. He seems to be doing all right, does Ray? He's happy enough anyway.
Most of the time. He does have depressions.
Well, that's natural.
Funny, isn't it? Fella I fell for. I've never even walked down the street by his side, let alone danced with him.
You will, sis.
We might find out tomorrow.
Has your romancer turned up yet? Have you found out who it was? Oh, excuse me, Cyril.
I've changed my mind. I've decided to abandon the search. It retains the magic, I think, not knowing, don't you? The one who worships from afar will remain forever unknown.
Oh, it'd niggle me. I'd never rest.
The pleasure of knowing I have a secret admirer is sufficient for me, dear.
And it would be difficult to eliminate all the elegant men in your life.
Precisely.
Hey, Sergeant. Do you fancy round the board for a nimble shilling?
No, but if you get somebody to oblige, you let me know, and I'll nick the pair of you. By the way, I should ship that donkey cart of yours if I was you. Workmen are putting up huts in the road outside.
Oh, are they now? Well, I was there first. Hey, them workmen, when they start digging, they might replace old pipes. I might be able to pick up a bit of scrap. Excuse me.
How do? Oh, I ain't been sent to Coventry then.
Oh, who said that?
Ah, thought you might.
Nay, I wouldn't miss a Charlie.
No, that's true.
And besides, I couldn't very well hand you a bill and say no.
Come again.
A bill. I'm handing you a bill for damages.
Yeah, what's this for then?
Well, you bent the key in my lock. Bust the lock. Now it's useless. I got to have another. You all said I should have a new one. Well, now I will.
Oh, not at my expense.
Look, you said you were acting unofficially.
Oh, for your own good. You know it was.
Right, well, as an ordinary citizen, you damaged my lock. There's the bill. Good evening.
They might as well be digging for gold for all that cocky old watchman knows. Anyway, I'll keep my eye on the situation.
Yes, it was a delightful frock. It was sort of suitable for the official functions I have to attend and cocktail parties. It had a sort of
Excuse me, which of you two lucky ladies is going to have the privilege of refilling my glass?
One refill coming up.
You know,
They must come from afar to sample your ale, Mrs. Walker.
I believe that is what is called Blarney, Mr. Deacon.
Now, you're not telling me they don't come from afar. You know, all worshipping isn't done in the church, is it? I mean, of course, nowadays not many fellas show their appreciation. Do you know what I mean? They don't take the trouble of saying so.
Or putting pen to paper.
Aye. In purple ink, Mrs. Walker.
You? Oh, no. Is this pint elegant enough for you, Mr. Deacon?
I don't find that in the least amusing.
What's up, missus? Sure, I send them to all the landladies in the district. Even Fat Claire down at the free house. Oh, there's nothing immoral about sending valentines. I'm right, Betty, am I? What do you say?
2 and 6 for the pint. Prince Charming.
So, after I came back from America, I tried to pretend that it never happened. Stephen and me. But you can't put things like that behind you. Pretend they never happened for all your life, can you?
Hasn't been easy for you.
No. I get a bit choked up when I think back.
Maybe I can make up for it. I'm packing in the sea shortly.
Yeah. You all say that till the day of decision comes.
I mean it. Me and the skipper had long discussions on the last trip. He's due out at the same time as I am.
And?
We've done something about it. We bought a bar on the Algarve, equal partners.
Yeah, where?
Algarve, southern Portugal. You'd love it there, Elsie. Elsie. You could start a new life there with me.
Oh, girl, it won't work like it didn't work before. And what has your wife got to say about this? Surely she's got some say in it.
She died. I wasn't there when it happened. I hadn't seen her for 2 years. We'd finally split up for good.
I'm sorry.
This time, I'm free. And you're free. I want to marry you, Elsie.
I do? Yeah. Who are you burying?
Oh, it's a mess, isn't it? You know, before we can turn around, there'll be some siding scrape, big cracks will open up. And it's worse in Rosman Street, they got it all up.
Here you go. Get up. Get out of it. Oh, offence, mate. Just want to say how do, that's all.
I know you're thought you're worse than flaming kids. What else have you been meddling
Look,
at?
I've been on nights. I've just finished.
Ain't he's been on night shift like you.
Ah, same as you have, mate.
The name's Ben.
Oh. Stan Ogden, Albert Tuttle.
How do?
Well, I've got to be a bit fussy-like, because this is a 5-star rule, this is. 5-star on account of proximity to alehouse. First of all, that's filled in.
Hey, it's a nice looking shed, this. Looks cosy from the outside.
Well, a fella's got to have his privacy, you know.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Get away from folk.
That's why I'm a night watchman. They can't get at you at dark.
Ah, well, I'm going to get my head down. I'll see you.
Right, ta-ra. Hey, can I have a look?
Aye, but don't tread it much, will you?
You know, I reckon you and me's got somebody in common. I've been a recluse.
Ah, well, it's the only way these days,
Right, can I go in?
the way things are. Right, go on, lad, get in with this. That's Malcolm.
Oh, the thing about hairdressers is they're not supposed to look like I do. If I could think of what I look like, I might get a better idea of what sort of job I ought to do.
Aren't you finishing that bit?
Oh, no, go on, have it.
No fella ever puts me off my food.
Yeah, I used to think that way. In fact, it worked in reverse with me. I used to eat to console myself.
He's not bad looking, Popeye the sailor man. There's something about a bloke in uniform.
Yeah, that thought had occurred to me.
Life on the ocean wave. I wonder how that rates as a career.
Mind you, I'm not that sure about good-looking blokes. There's always a chance he might get nabbed. Ray is about the hospital this morning, whether he goes in or not.
She's worried about the nurses.
Don't be daft. He'll only be in a couple of weeks.
You're a bit worried though, aren't you, kid?
A bit. It's more what happens after. Well, if he's cured.
Like Willie want to know you, for instance.
I didn't say that, clever. Oh, I'll go. I said I'd call round at the Flemings, see if the letters come.
Better do right by her, that Ray Langton, else he'll have me to reckon with.
Men?
Morning. Hello?
Morning. You know Bernard, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Oh, I've come around to have a word with you, as a matter of fact. I wonder if you could let me know about life at sea. You see, at present I'm a hairdresser.
Yes, and if you don't hurry up and be late, and you're not late, you're going to catch it, aren't
I've
you?
got bags of... Oh, point taken.
Well, cheerio. I'll see you down at the salon then, Auntie.
So, he works for Alan Howard, too.
Tom? Yes, and if you're curious to know, he got the job to oblige me.
I thought as much.
Bill, you just can't come walking back in here after years away and expect everything to be the way it was.
No, I suppose not.
What did he say?
Who?
Alan, he must have said something.
He never said a word. As a matter of fact, it was Len who spelled it out.
I see.
Well, what about my answer?
Bill, I can't think. I haven't even
Why
got
not?
it straight. Well, you come bursting in here out of the
Look,
blue.
we're not strangers.
No, neither were me and Steve.
What is it then? Time? Have you forgotten what I'm like?
Oh, no, Bill. I think that's my trouble. My memory is too good. The last memory I had of you, it wasn't a very happy one, if you remember.
You think I don't know that?
It's nevertheless true. Look, you're the one that walked out. You're the one that let his wife take him away. And you just can't come back in here and ask me to marry you like that.
But I have.
Well, go on, tell us then. What does it say?
Well, I know I'm going to cause a lot of heartache, and I'll be sorely
Ray,
missed.
you're going!
Yep. I've passed my medicals and I'm in. And they say it might be the last lap.
Congratulations, mate. Oh, Ray, I'm ever so glad.
Well, you don't have to lay it on as if you were glad to see the back of
What
me.
do you expect after you've crowded us all these
I'd
weeks?
eat us out of house and home.
Yeah.
And generally been in the way,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, thanks for having me all the same. Sandra?
Can I see the letter?
Yeah.
Well, what will it do?
Encourage my mobility by making me do excruciating things.
It says, with every chance of a full recovery.
That's right. Mind you, we'll have to keep our toes crossed.
We will.
Well, Spider, are we fit?
Yeah.
You know what this calls for a celebration? Must have a party.
Any excuse. I'll see you later, kid, then.
Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.
Seems ages since he was on his feet. I've almost forgotten how tall he was.
I didn't know him then.
She rang just now, said she was tied up at the salon, and could you be sure to hang on?
Oh, fine. Which case I better have a gin and tonic, please.
Jack, love.
Yes, love?
Well, at least you might look at me.
Eh? Oh, very nice, yes, very nice. That should do you nicely, that should.
Do you really think so, love? How do you think it compares with my lime green?
I can't remember. You tried that many. How I've managed to pay for them all, I don't know.
Morning, Mrs. Walker. I think you look very nice.
Do you really? Well, to be frank, I rather want to, because I have an engagement this afternoon. Nothing of any real importance, of course.
Your change.
Thank you. Well, I hope you have a very successful engagement.
You know, Jack, I just don't know what to make of that man.
Oh, he's reasonable enough.
Did you see him looking at my hair, as though he knew I'd had it done, and not at his salon either?
Well, would you expect him to say so?
He's all right on the surface. Goodness knows what goes on underneath.
How's that for timing?
Very good.
I thought I'd better give you a ring, because I didn't know if you were calling or if I'd see you all day.
Problems?
Oh, woman complained about a perm, but we're giving a free one tomorrow.
Anything else?
Bernard broke his glasses, but apart from that, it's been a very quiet day.
Well, you asked to see me.
Yes, it's about Bill.
Bill Gregory.
Yes. It's daft, I know, but he's asked me to marry him. He's gone and proposed to me.
Have you accepted?
I not yet.
Well, you better make up your mind, hadn't you, if he's hanging around waiting for an answer?
Yes, he is.
What do you expect me to say, Elsie?
I just wanted you to know, that's all.
All right, you've told me.
In 15 minutes, turn the oven down to regulo 3.
Now, look, Annie, your tea party's not until 4 o'clock this afternoon, and where are you going now?
to buy my hostess a birthday present.
All this fuss over Mrs. Fenton's birthday, I don't know.
Yes, well now, if when you'd met her you'd appeared as your true self and not paraded as a drunken lout.
I know. I might have got an invite too. Hello.
Same again.
Same again. Has Elsie gone?
Yeah.
Oh, she seemed anxious on the phone. Still, as long as she said what she wanted to say.
Yes, she did.
Ah, meaning you didn't, eh?
Not by a long chalk.
Mind you, it's only a suggestion. I wouldn't want to bring pressure to bear.
I'll think about it, Mrs.
It's
Sharples.
just that you seem to have time on your hands.
Hey, why can't I get invited to tea? I'm available just as much as him.
I thought you were a dropout.
Ah, well, I'm back. At least I'm in body. I'm not sure about my mental state.
No, neither am I.
I was referring to my spirit. Seems to stand aloof.
But it won't mind missing a raspberry bun.
Ah, there you are, Mr. Tetlock. Sorry to be so long. The price of a new lock, and very pricey, if I may say so.
Oh, well, you bent the key. One bent key, one damaged lock. Then besides, there's the inconvenience of it. What are you looking at me like that for?
Because, Mr. Tetlock, I know the truth. You bought a cut-price lock off Tommy Deacon and charged me as for new.
Well, if you knew that, why did you pay for it?
Justice, Mr. Tetlock, works in funny ways. You see, the trouble with scrap metal is it doesn't always function the way it should. Now, I've just seen young Ray outside your door. And can he get that cut-price lock to fit?
Yeah, no wonder I've gone off human beings. You can't trust nobody.
So, I ask her to marry me.
Stone the flaming crows.
Well, aren't you going to wish me luck?
You know you floored me, mate. You really have. Yes, I'll wish you luck, mate.
You think I need it?
I know what she said.
Yeah. She wanted more time to think it over.
I'll bet she did.
Well, that's it then. I've asked her. Just have to wait and see.
Stone the flaming crows.
You have to keep saying that?
You will.
Well, what did you expect? He's not the sort of man to kick his heels. He came here to do business and he did it.
And that's all right by you?
I didn't say that.
What sort of a fella are you, a deaf mute or something? You just sit there with your flipping head in a paper. What sort of a fella are you, for pity's sake?
Your telephone's ringing.
Ah, you make me sick. Fair love. Here. Yes. It's for you. Some estate agent fella. Right. What do you want with an estate agent?
Do you mind?
I asked you a question.
I'm doing business with him. I'm in the process of buying a house. Alan Howard.
I want them windows washing, not reglazing. Hey, you!
I'm just giving it its final glazing.
Who's out there?
Nobody's
It's
special.
maybe Shipley, isn't it?
Well, it could
Donkey
be.
in a step.
Well, yes,
And
she
the
is.
knees with her backside up in the air showing all she's got. If there's any glimpse of that, I'm going to it's in your eye.
Hey, it's a catchy tune, isn't it?
Ah, that's good if I were you, and that's good to dance.
Well, swing along with Edith Sharples, eh? Mind you're not familiar with the words.
No, I don't expect you are. This is what is known as an original composition, composed by me. As for words, I expect I could furnish them if I felt so inclined. Come in. Oh, you condescended to come then.
You were right. I do have time on my hands.
Right. Your money's on corner at sink.
Oh, no. Favourite was and favourite it is.
Ah, but right, you should be paying me what with the music and Jezebel over the road.
Right. Da, 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 da,
Get
da,
off
da.
key.
Ah, well, the wife's a songstress, you see. She's got the voice, I've got the ear.
Ah, what is known as a harmonious couple.
That's right, yeah. La, da, 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 da.
Take a seat, it's not the lion's den.
It always used to seem like it in the old days. Maybe you've changed.
Well, I'm not the only one. 8 years, you know, is a long time. Well, I'll save a piece and then we'll be done with it. I've had my differences with Elsie Tanner, and I wouldn't speak up for most of her carry-ons, because most of them have been well-ended. But not the one she's got on now.
Mm-hmm. On what grounds do you say that?
The evidence of my own eyes. For the last week, I've seen that woman happy. And she's not a happy woman, as a rule. No, at the risk of sounding sentimental, it's brought her joy.
And you think I'm here to take it away without putting anything in its place?
You've come back at the wrong time, lad. Accept as much.
No, Mrs. Sharples.
I can't, and I won't. I've asked her to marry me.
Why? To solve your conscience for what you did to her last time? No. Luke, you had to choose between her and your wife. Now you think you've chosen wrongly.
Look, it wasn't an easy decision to make. I went through hell.
Yes, and now you're expecting her to do the same. You're putting Elsie Tanner into the same position. You think what you went through and then tell me if you can justify...
It's no good, Mrs. Sharples. I let myself be swayed once before. Nobody's going to sway me this time.
I can assure you, love, it's a fact that your Alan has bought a house. And it's not just because he's trying to do a bunk, because it's quite near, actually. But let's face it, darling, he's not going to be there all by himself. He's not going to live on his tot, is he?
I don't understand, because he never said a word. He never breathed.
Well, of course, it can't be very easy for you, not knowing where you stand. I mean, you don't know what to do, do you? I mean, a bird in the hand, one in the bush.
All right, then, that'll do. I don't want you twisting the knife.
Me?
Yes, you. You're enjoying yourself, aren't you? You're enjoying yourself at my expense.
Well, I must say there is a funny side to it.
Is there? Well, so far, I can't see it. And another thing, Len, if you want to come telling tales about Alan, don't come running to me with them.
Just look at that lot. Just listen to him, rowdy lot. I wouldn't trust that building chappie, legs or no legs.
He meant no harm. His tongue runs away with him sometimes.
Women and kids.
Yeah, well, you see, Benjamin here, he's a bachelor. Confirmed.
Are you?
No, I'm not, I'm glad to say. Been married for donkey's years.
Ah, but I notice you keep her well hidden.
You'd need to be a stranger to say that, eh? No, she's out at present, gone to a tea party.
Oh, tea party. Hey, but it's after 7 o'clock.
Oh, well, that knit has gone on a bit. Still, the length of time it took her to get ready, she's forced to have her money's worth. Hey, Ragum, you've taken your time, haven't you?
Diplomacy. Listen, Benji, the wife's made you a nice little meal. I'll take you there and I'm off.
Hey, will it be just me and her at table? You two do.
It's all right. Albert will protect you, won't you, Albert? No, I can't. No, I'm wanted here. Look, I'll see you later, Ben, in your shed.
Come on, get your skates on. I'm late as it is.
Hey, but I can't stop long yet.
Hey, what's the matter with you? Have you lost your appetite? No, it's Hilda Ogden. She gave me heartburn with a boiled egg.
There's so much stuff in here.
Well, come on, Bernard. We're not going to get you drunk. We've got some lemonade in there, haven't we?
In here, yeah.
No, I won't if you don't mind, Ray. I mean, it's nothing against you. I'm very happy about your good foot. I'd rather just have a quiet think, if you don't
Oh, well, you know where we are if you change your mind.
Yeah. Enjoy yourselves. Have a good time.
Have what? Your tips? You never carry this. Come on, then.
Bye-bye.
So long. Hello, Mr. Fairclough. It's quite early yet, isn't it?
We'll leave the door open, all right?
Okie doke.
All right, then.
Hey, what did you make me stop for?
Sandra, go and grab that little red lamp. That one over there.
Hey, Ray!
Go on. Cherish and obey. Go on.
What for?
Give that old codger something to think about. Well, you heard him. As if I'd nick his flipping sand.
Yeah, but you
Oh, look,
can't
we'll give him a few minutes till he's had his nosh, and then we'll come back and watch him counting his lamps. I'm sure there were one there when I last counted.
You are daft.
Right, missus, full speed ahead.
I don't really know why I come in pubs. I've nothing against drinking it, it's just that I don't like the taste. They've gone, you know, the others.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, there's 4 of them and only 1 of me. Well, not simply 4, more like 2 and 2, you know. Mind you, I've got a lot to think about. I'm not sure there's something to occupy me, you know.
Oof. Hello, Len. Thought I might find you. Oh, hello, Bernard.
Would you like a seat, Mrs. Clegg?
Thanks.
Oof. Well, thank you for our little talk.
And the animals went in 2 by 2.
Len,
I'm sorry, Mag, how are you?
Sounds like I should be asking after you.
I've been mixing it, Mag, with Elsie.
I thought as much. You should never have had the 2 of them in your house. Well, that was stirring it, if anything was.
I'm sorry.
It's a fat lot of you saying that to me.
Just hang on a minute.
Oh,
will
you
you?
silly
Come on.
Hey, cheats, you can see.
Of course I can. Why don't you try a scarf?
Good idea. Hang on a sec.
Brilliant.
I don't know, I feel funny. Wait till you start spinning your own.
What's this?
That's just a joke, Dickie. A private joke.
A joke? There's a dirty great trench out there.
Oh, wrap up, goody, goody. Nobody's going to come to any harm.
All right, it's going back.
Oh, Dickie, I don't know. I've been sick. When you made me have that sweet martini.
Come on then, upstairs you. And make sure that goes back.
Hey, Sandra. You've gone.
I told you you shouldn't have
Don't
taken...
you ever do things you shouldn't? Anyhow, there's a whacking great moon.
Oh, it's you. Come on in.
Oh, thanks.
Ah! Oh, no! No! Ah!
Hey, what was that? That noise?
I didn't hear anything. Must have been cats. Probably Bobby after a girlfriend.
No, I thought... Oh, well.
Come on in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know all about the house. What's the use if he won't say, if it's got to come from Len? You know, you seem to know people better in the crisis. It's not true. I thought I knew what Alan wanted. No, I'm not sure. I suppose it was I wanted him to suit something daft, something drastic. Like Bill's done in a way, I suppose. Like dashing in as if it was a night on a white charger and carrying me off to foreign parts.
Ah, funny. When I married Les, I thought he'd be a tower of strength. Then when he turned out different, it didn't matter anymore. I got so used to reckoning on it, looking out for him, you know. Anyway, that's in the past.
You've not got over that yet, have you?
Well, not cut and dried. You don't.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Come in.
Good evening.
Evening, Bill.
Night, Elsa.
Night.
Well, can I share the joke?
Oh, I can't, Bill. It's all such a shambles.
Well, clear it up.
I can't. Bill, it's like I told you. I can't believe it's all different, and I can't believe that you're really free.
Elsie, I went all through that this morning. I don't want to hear it again. It's lies. You're using it as an excuse.
No, I'm not.
Phyllis is dead, and I'm single. I'm free. I'm free, love. It's you that's not.
Yes, you're right.
I've got to rejoin my ship. I've got to leave on Friday. I must know by then.
I see.
I don't want to rush you, love, but, well, there it is.
No, you're right. I suppose sometimes I've got to be pushed.
Yes. Good night.
Good night, Bill.
Yeah, but I mean, supposing I had applied to join the force, would they have taken me on as a cadet, do you think?
Well, I'd
have been all right for height, wouldn't I?
Of course, there is a question of your spectacles.
Oh, yeah, I'd forgotten. I had a bit of trouble with them only this morning. Still, I suppose it's too late now anyway. Well, thanks very much for our little talk.
There you are, Cyril, a would-be recruit. Somebody thinks highly of your job.
Bernard Butler. God, pull the other one.
Mr. Walker, come quick, it's Miss...
Annie.
Oh, I think she's met with an accident.
Annie, love, where have you been?
Been, you might well ask. I've been down the hole. I've been down there for hours. Hours.
Any injury, Mrs. Walker?
No red lamp, no watchman. Oh, I've been very fortunate. My new 15-go guinea gold root.
And your hat's copped it and all.
And when I think of the damage I might have sustained, exposure, broken limb.
How did it happen, Mrs. Walker?
How did it happen? By negligence. Gross, willful neglect.
Whose? Because it's yours if you missed your step, you know. Did they serve you with any fancy drinks at that party of yours?
There was no question of my missing my step. There was no warning whatsoever at this side of the trench, and I'll trouble you to keep your insinuations to yourself.
Bernard, Pop your head outside that door. See if
Did anyone come to help me? Oh, I could hear sounds of revelry. What about the local police? I lay there, nobody heard me. It was left to a casual passerby.
Well, what can you see?
Yes, there is a lamp there, Mrs. Sharp.
Yes, all as was. Dolly Daisy hobnobbing with folks above herself.
Jack, you going to let that woman insult me? Do you believe me?
Annie, look, Annie, no matter how it happened, the point is it could have been worse. Now, we'll soon send your coat to the cleaners, and all it means is another bath.
Oh, no, it isn't. It means far more than that. This outrage isn't going to stay here, I can assure you. Somebody's going to pay for this.
Hey, jumping Joseph. And I told that watchman fellow I was glad to be wed.
Well, Jack, she may have a point.
Her Majesty has finished her cuppa and is taking a few quick puffs of a royal dimp while she puts on her crown. She'll be down in a sec.
Thanks, Sandra.
Fancy one?
Yeah? No, thanks.
Not exactly Jolly Jack Tar this morning, are you?
No, not exactly.
I've remembered when I first saw you. Do you?
Dimly.
Dimly's right. You must have had a few. 7 years ago. I was 11.
Yes, well, you've grown up now.
You and Elsie came down to see me mum in an old bone shaker one Sunday afternoon.
Yes, I remember.
I suppose Ray Langton would be your
Sandra,
nephew, sort
please
of.
do you mind? Look, I'm not exactly feeling...
I know. Elsie, Francis Drake's getting niggled.
All right, I'm coming down now.
She's coming down, so I'll be on my way. And don't you talk her head off like you talk mine.
That's what I get every morning. Lots of chatter, a half-cooked egg, some burnt toast, and marmalade all over my newspaper.
According to what I got this morning, I've got to return to my ship today.
Oh, Bill, no. You said it was Friday. You said so.
Tell the Admiralty, love, not me.
But you've only just come.
I know, now I've got to go. But it won't be for long, you know that. And then I'm out for good.
I don't know what to say, Bill.
Say yes, Elsie. That's all you can say.
It's not as easy as that.
It's very easy, Elsie, if you want it to be. Alan?
I don't know, honestly. I just don't know.
Well, he hasn't bothered to do anything about it, has he? Not even when he knew that I'd ask you to marry me. Well, has he? Has he?
Oh, no.
No. Well, I'm not Alan Howard, and I'm not going to sit around. I want you, Elsie. I love you, and I want to marry you.
Bill, there are too many ghosts between us. There's Phyllis and there's Steve and...
They're dead. No, Elsie. It's the living that comes between us. The last time we parted in this room 7 years ago, it was Phyllis. This time, it's Alan.
I don't know, Bill. Honestly, maybe
Elsie,
I don't...
I've got to go and pack. Please, make up your mind. Come with me, love. I'll wait for you in the Rovers till 2 o'clock. And if you're not there, well, I won't be around to bother you. It's up to you, love.
It's up to you, love. It's up to you, love. It's up to you, love. It's up to you, love.
It's what?
You've only got to lift your little finger, and I'll go and tell her. You know the score with me, but I've got to know how you feel.
How I feel? I'll tell you how I feel. I feel as if I've been run over by a tram. I feel as if I'm having one of them nightmares that you can't wake up from. That's how I feel. All right. Go to the Rovers, go to them, and tell her whatever you want, but don't ask me to help you because, don't you see, it wouldn't be right.
There are 2 of us in this.
3 of us.
You can't just duck out of this, love.
Who's ducking out of anything? Look, if you want to go back, go back. If you don't, don't. It's as simple as that.
God, I wish it was. I'll go and see her. But I meant what I said. One sign from you, and I'll know what I've got to do. I know what you're thinking. You think it's easy. But it isn't. I love you, Elsie. But I can't do it on my own.
Hey, did I frighten you slamming the door like that? You were miles away, you know.
That's right.
I'm going to go down and see Mrs. Walker, see if she's seen the doctor yet. She should, you know. Hey, did you know in olden days, doctors
Oh,
started...
please, will you just go away, Bernard? Please, go away.
Sorry.
That is not the point, Jack. I may appear to be all right, but how do we know I may not suffer from delayed shock?
Hey, Annie, I've been suffering from that ever since we were married. You'll get used to it.
Oh, very funny, very amusing. I wonder if it would be thought quite so hilarious if I had broken a limb.
Ah, come on, Annie, it's just your pride. If you'd been kicked by one of the Duke of Edinburgh's polo ponies, you'd have boasted about it. But just because it was a dirty old hole that you fell in...
Are you all right, Mrs.?
I refuse to make any comment at this stage.
But these things happen, you know.
Oh, yes, these things happen if a night watchman, who is presumably paid a salary...
wages, more like.
...to maintain vigil on road excavations is guilty of negligence and gross dereliction of duty.
But I only left home for a few minutes to go and have some tatty ash with Ogdens, that's all.
That's all, I see. Well, we'll see if the authorities think that's all. We'll see what they have to say about my ruined clothes and shattered nerves.
We just thought we'd ask... Oh, we just thought we'd ask how she was like.
Well, there you are. See for yourself. Annie Walker at her best on the warpath. Mind you, I think falling down that hole's done her a bit of good. It's given her something to live for. But I don't think it's done any good for Ben's prospects.
But it wasn't Ben's fault, Mr. Walker.
Aye?
That's right, and, well, it wasn't Mrs. Walker's, so it must have been the holes. Anyway, we'll see then, won't we?
All this fuss and bother. The lamp was there when I looked out.
That may be so. But this is the second time I have complained about this hole in Coronation Street. Well, I'm sure I don't know which department it is, but it certainly is not parks and cemeteries.
It's
for your hammock.
Yeah, well, by the sound of that cold, you ought to be in your hammock. You know, you were asking me what being at sea does for you. Well, I'll tell you. It makes you decisive. You know what you want, you go after it, and you get it. I think she'll be on the train with me this afternoon. Opening time. Quick one?
Why not?
I can't make it, I'm sorry.
See you.
See you.
Do you want 3 blasts before you go?
I'd rather have a peal of bells.
Well, that's that.
Looks like it.
There's nothing I can do, Len.
Isn't there?
No, I'm not going to plead. I'm not going down on my knees.
Rheumatism?
Look, she's had enough unhappiness in her life by being talked into things by other people. Let her make up her mind this once on her own.
Mate, I think she's already been talked into something by Bill Gregory. I think it's about time somebody else talked her into something.
All right, Len, you do it. You have a word with her.
You must be joking me. Ask her to stay. For you.
You're still interested, aren't you? You're still interested,
I don't
aren't
give
you?
a damn what you think, mate. If I wanted her to stay and I thought she might listen, I'd certainly ask her myself. I wouldn't get anyone else.
I said to him just now, I said, if you deserted your post in 1418, you know what would have happened? The war.
This isn't the 1418, Mr. Tatlock. All he did was to take a break for a plate of hot pot.
2 platefuls and half a jar of red cabbage. Still, never mind.
Oh, Maggie's quite right. He's entitled to take a break for a meal and other things, and he's got to patrol the diggings in the next street. They can't touch him there. There's no use her swearing the lamp wasn't there, because it was. And from what you tell me, it looks as though she's going to report him also for impudence. Now, that could cost him his job.
Insubordination.
He's only sticking up for himself.
I think the best thing we can do is to find out what really happened.
No, we're only going to tell her. Well, you picked the wrong moment. There's a time and a place.
But you were already phoning, Ray.
Bernard, you are what they call naive. If she was phoning through a complaint, she'd have to make another couple of dozen phone calls before she got through to the right department. Works on a system of escalation.
I think you should keep your trap shut, myself.
Me too. It won't come to nothing.
Well, I wish you'd have kept yours shut. I wish you'd never told me. I were quite happy not knowing.
Audrey?
Well, Sandra put the lamp back immediately, so nobody knows for sure. It's only Annie Walker's word.
So you're going, are you?
Yes, I'm going. That's why I've called for the luggage straps.
Oh, yes, I should have returned them when I come back from Mallorca.
That's all right.
I'll root them out and bring them round. By heck, there's no knowing how much of other folks' stuff I'll find when I go through them drawers.
Thanks.
What's there something else?
Mrs. Sharples, do you think I'm doing the right thing?
The first time you asked for my advice, last you were about 6. I'd given you a penny for going an errand, and you didn't know whether to buy a kale-eye sucker or a lucky bag. You bought the lucky bag in spite of the fact I told you it was a lot of rubbish.
And that's what you think I'm doing? Going off a bill as a load of rubbish?
Well, as I'm saying out at sort, you'll go your own road regardless.
But I'm asking you.
People that ask for advice don't really want it. It's because they're not sure, and it's always very nice to be able to blame the person that's supposed to have given the advice if things go wrong.
You think I'm not sure, do you?
I'm sure you're not sure.
But he's not been near, hasn't Alan? He's not been near me at all.
Why? Would it have made any difference?
Oh, I don't know. Probably not, but he could have called just to say goodbye. He could have called. I mean, we're supposed to be friends. Mature people.
The only time you mature is when you're 6 foot under, because by then you know all the answers.
Just passing. Thought I'd drop these few things in.
Thank you, love.
Right, well, I'll...
Oh, it's all right, love. I'm just off. Anyway, thanks for your advice. I'll remember what you said.
Advice? Said?
About the lucky bags.
You know, if you ask me, her whole life's been one big lucky bag, or unlucky bag.
So I've heard. So she's going.
That's what she says.
Well, I think she's making the right move.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. New life with Bill Gregory in a new country.
Yes, that's another thing. What's she opening a pub in Portugal for? What's wrong with Llandudno?
I still think she's doing the right thing. And when I get a chance, I'll tell her.
You doing out at sort last. Never interfere.
Oh, Mrs. Sharples.
Not in matters like this.
Ah, maybe you're right.
Maggie, will you do something for me?
Anything.
On your way back to the shop, will you call in the hairdressers and ask Alan Howard to come and see me?
Interfering, Mrs. Sharples.
I've a favour to ask of him, that's all.
I'll tell him.
Oh, and Maggie.
Yeah?
Don't tell me you think Elsie Tanner ought to leave for her own good.
No.
No. Because that would suit you, wouldn't it? With her gone, it leaves the field clear. For you.
Do you know, Mrs. Sharples? I think you've hit the nail on the head.
You haven't packed the stove, have you?
No, of course not.
Only it seems like it. It's just that me and Bernard would like to be able to do some toast now and again. That's if you don't mind us staying here.
Oh, of course I don't, you nit.
Mind you, I don't know where me and Ray will go when we get married. But Bernard will be there and he'll be able to... Ah, well, I better leave you and get off to work.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. How do you expect me to fasten this with it?
These any use to you?
Thank you very much.
Mrs. Sharples asked me to bring them round. She gave me a penny for going the message. She said something about a kale-eye sucker.
That's Mrs. Sharples for you. The soul of generosity.
Elsie, please don't go.
According to Mrs. Walker, there was no red lamp when she fell down the hole.
There certainly was not.
And yet Bernard said he saw it only a few minutes later.
I am not telling lies, Mr. Turpin.
Oh, Mrs. Walker, I'm not suggesting you are. Neither am I suggesting it's Bernard.
Here comes the Sherlock Holmes bit.
Ah, shut up, Stan. Now, what's happened is that somebody's missed out a little bit of truth in between. I think I'll ask a few questions, find out, like.
You know, I'm glad I lead a pure, blameless life with him around.
As Sybil said, shut up, Stan. Well, Annie?
Well, of course, I'd no intention of getting the poor old man the sack. I merely wished him to be reprimanded. But, of course, if Mr. Turpin is going to solve the problem...
And what's more, she snores.
How do you know?
I've heard her through the wall.
Yeah, you're trying to put me off, aren't you, eh?
I wish I could.
You mean that, don't you?
Yes, Bill, I do.
Then why haven't you done something about Elsie?
Call me Dug in the manger if you like. Maybe I'm not the right man for her.
Is Alan Howard?
Could be. Could be better than me.
What about me? Don't you think I love her and could look after her?
Maybe you love her, Bill, but can you look after her? Elsie's a sparrow in a dirty street. She couldn't survive in an aviary with birds of paradise. She tried it once, and they nearly pecked her to death. Leave the pub now.
It's not 2 yet.
It's nearly.
Well, how many has Annie Walker made a fool of herself? Well, it's not so long since she was accusing Betty Turpin and Miss Nugent of stealing the crown jewels or something.
Just suppose that we got in touch with the authorities and told them it was us. Then Ben wouldn't lose his job and, well, Annie would never know it was us. They'd just say somebody confessed and all our faces would be saved. Hey, Bernard, stick that cannabis in the teapot. Dickie, the hash, swallow it.
Have you got a search warrant, Sergeant?
No, just a squad surrounding the house with tear gas waiting for my signal. No joke. I just thought I'd pop in and have a few words about the diggings.
What they found now? A Roman skull?
Well, they could have found Mrs. Walker's skull. Even now they might find old Ben's insurance cards. No, you know what I think? I think that lamp was taken away as a joke by one of you lot. And I think you put it back again. Now, let me see. Who's the weakest link in this chain?
Excuse me, Mr. Turpin, but I think I am.
And so do I, Bernard. What an excellent judge of character you are.
I'm selfish, Elsie, and that's the only excuse I can offer. And I want you to stay.
I don't know, Alan. I really wish I did.
You still have a couple of minutes.
I was very fond of Bill, you know. Perhaps I'll find how fond when it's too late. It was his wife, you know.
Did you know her?
I came very near to her, but I didn't look. Perhaps I should have looked. Perhaps it would have made a difference. But this afternoon, when he was here, well, 7 years ago.
I had a wife.
Yeah, but that was before you met me.
Will that make a difference?
Strangely enough, it does.
Will you stay?
Do you mean it? Do you really want me to? Do you mean it?
I mean it.
There's a taxi outside for you.
That's it, then.
I'm sorry.
For me, but not for yourself. That it?
Hey, did you ever see that squint-eyed bint, you know, that one in Jib? Shoot. I see.
Bye, Maggie.
Hey, come more often. I wonder if you'd have been as bothered as that if it had been me going away.
Why?
Well, the only time you seem concerned about Elsie is when somebody's trying to take her away. Do you feel the same about me, if I was leaving?
Try me.
I might. Someday. You never know.
Better go and tell him.
You don't have to. He'll know.
Can't leave him just standing there.
You won't want dramatics, Elsie.
Not going to get dramatics.
Well, to err is human, to forgive divine, as I always say.
I think somebody else said that, Mrs. Walker, but never mind.
Well, never let it be said that I haven't a sense of humour.
Oh, she has me in stitches at
Oh,
times.
don't tell me, Jack. 6 stitches in the back of your head, 6 in the front.
Somewhat like. Now, look, I reckon you're all taking it too lightly. Now, I'll admit young Langton took the lamp, but Ben ought to have been on the alert for an attack. I mean, it might have been a wheelbarrow or a concrete mixer. And I'll tell him so when I see him tonight, even if we are pals.
Well, I must be getting off. Ta-ta.
I think it's about time I went as well.
Yeah.
Ta-ra, then.
Gin, love?
Yes, please, then.
He's gone.
What?
I said he's gone.
Yes, I know.
I know. I know. I know. I know. I know.
That then, eh?
Come on, let's set him up. Drink so round, I'm going to come to wait till you hear the news. Come, you two are looking pleased with yourselves.
Why should we? We just got engaged.
Hey, congratulations on the pair of you.
Yeah.
Do you know something?
What?
I never even saw her.
There you are, Elsie.
Thanks, Jack. I've got one.
Huh?
Sorry.
We've a love that's true.
Hey, that's smashing.
Glad somebody likes them.
It's better than these modern tunes, you know, Fly Me to the Moon on a Blue Tomato or something.
Oh, well, some's mine, some's my dad's, some's my granddad's. I've been harboring dust in that box for years.
This belongs to the world, you know. I might be able to find an outlet.
Only one outlet for that, through the vocal cords.
Commercial, Mrs. Sharples. Lennon McCartney stuff, you know, tar.
You're welcome.
Gonna miss me?
Of course I am.
Hey, what about me missing you?
Ah, well, you've got a photograph of me to put on your pillar. They'll only be left with beautiful, fleeting memories.
Aye, and a dirty big pile of empties underneath the kitchen sink.
Hey, you sit on that empties, Dickie. That's my estate. There's threepence on each.
Well, it's only a bus ride to Buxton. I could cycle there in 2 hours.
Give or take a day.
A bus ride, yes, but worlds apart. Ah, there I'll be, bathing in baths of pure vodka, having me back scrubbed by Derbyshire hula girls.
Don't be daft, Ray. There's no hula girls in Buxton. And besides, it's pure mineral waters.
Give over, that's what they put round to keep the drunks away. It's pure vodka bubbling out from Mother Earth. Oh, not today, thanks,
Hey,
Dad.
listen, I'm selling now. Can you tell me the phone number of that singer mate of yours? What's his name? Mickey Malone.
Aye. You know, you might be in there, mate. You said something about a puppet act.
Eh?
Regrets?
None.
You sure?
I'm sure.
You know, Bill was right.
Forget about Bill. I'll go make some tea.
He said you just go storming in and you don't take no for an answer.
Is that what he said?
You're going out with me tomorrow.
Am I?
Got a surprise for you.
What?
Tomorrow.
Hey, Jack, can I use your phone?
Oh, help yourself.
It's private, like.
There's only one thing that'll get me to t'other side of the bar, that's you ordering a pint. And I'll pull it slowly.
Give us a pint.
Right.
Yes. Can I have a word with you, Mr. Taplock?
Yes, and I want a word with you.
Ah, well, we'd better go over it.
Right then.
Now then. You know what that is?
Of course I do.
Well, what is it?
Well, I know what it is.
Well, look, I was offered 10 bob the other day for that by a fellow that wanted some silver. Now, you tell me what it is, Albert.
Well, it's a DCM.
That's right. And it's got my name round the edge. And do you know how I got it?
No.
There are all out like that outside. There were some jerrys in that hole with a Lewis gun, and I had to take that hole off them. So next time, Albert, that you feel like telling somebody that they should be put up against a stone wall and shot, just you ask them if they've got any old silver to dispose of first, see?
Ben,
Hey?
would you care for a drink?
Oh, aye, I would.
Good,
Yes,
because...
But not in this pub, thank you very much.
Mr. Tatlock, you were absolutely all right about that horrible old man, and to think that I'd forgiven him.
Do you know what? I think it's diabolical the way you've treated him, and you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, look, Albert, are you coming?
Where?
For a pint in another pub, or have you lost it?
Right, I'm with you.
Yeah, that's right, Mr. Malone. Aye. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, words and music by me. Yeah. Yeah, all right, then I'll come round and see you. Ta-ra.
There you are, 1 pint.
Do you know something, Jack?
What?
Get yourself a drink. I'm going to be famous.
Huh?